Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
How's your day going?
Going good. Thank you. Yes.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Bronco Nation, when I score, Jackson pours. Each game I score a touchdown, head to Jacksons on Monday for a 49-cent fountain drink with Let's Go rewards. And don't forget your free banana, Jacksons. Let's go.
It's the all-wheel drive event at Lithia Ford of Boise. From hunting trips to ski trips to trips to Grandma's house. Nobody does AWD like LFB, Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
It's time for the Jacksons Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News. We're breaking down the game with highlights, interviews, analysis, and most importantly, you. Give your thoughts on the game in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a message on the Signature Roofing voice box at speakpipe.com/BNN. The BNN Postgame Show is presented by Jacksons, where you can get a 99-cent 16-ounce coffee or refill with Let's Go rewards. Need snacks or a cold drink? Visit one of the 300 Jacksons locations today. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. For all your painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Now, let's go courtside to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join B.J. Rains for the Jacksons Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News.
All right, Bronco Nation, we are here from Uncle Bob's Pizza after Boise State falls to the Washington Huskies 38-10 in the bucked up LA Bowl. I'm your host, Nathan Carroll, here with Mike Callahan. And for the first time, well, I guess second time now on a BNN postgame show, we've got Alexander Teubner. Loss aside, how are you guys doing tonight? Feeling good?
Good, yeah. Thanks to Bob's Pizza Uncle Bob's Pizza for taking care of us, man.
Yeah.
It's nonetheless still a cool experience. I love hanging out, love talking football, and wish the game went a little better, but
yeah, and great spot to watch a game.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ideally for wins, but even in a loss, the food's good, the beer's good. we had a good time, right? How you doing, Mike? Doing good?
I'm good. I'm similar with Teubner. Happy to be here. Uncle Bob took care of us. It was a good time. The game did not go even kind of how we wanted it to go tonight, and that's super disappointing, but great atmosphere. Great to be here.
Yeah. Like I said, Boise State falls 38-10 to Washington in a game that at halftime was 24-3 and really never got going for the Broncos. The offense just really didn't have it tonight. We talked a little bit about it in the halftime show with some of the quarterback play and the issues there. Max Cutforth comes in the second half. A little bit better completion percentage, goes 15-27, 202 yards. Does have the 3 interceptions, has a touchdown to go with it. Be sure to join us in the ICC YouTube chat. I see your guys' comments rolling in, and we've got plenty of comments indeed. Bronco Nation, not happy to put it the least. A lot of frustration with Nate Potter, with the quarterback play, with the wide receivers, with Spencer Danielson. And when you lose a big game like this, obviously blame's going to go a little bit of everywhere. After a loss like this, I like to start at least a little bit positive. What did you guys see that you liked? Because there's lots of negatives to talk about. We can spend an hour on the negatives. 5 minutes right off the top. What did you see that you guys liked in this performance?
There were some good things that the defense showed for sure at times during this game. I feel like overall as a team, there was, we talked about this before we went on, the turnover battle just killed us. I mean, that's really the story of this game. Looking at the stats here, we had 311 total yards on offense, and we gave up 355 to Washington, and you still have a score of 38-10. To me, that comes from the turnover margin. Just can't have it. I think we were -4. 5 turnovers. You did get the 1 fumble, so -4 when it was all said and done. Yeah, turnover margin just killed us in this game, and some busted coverages, but in the first quarter, definitely some things to get excited about, and then the rest of the game, not so much. Yeah, I had one comment here talking about liked Colton Boomer, 52-yard kick. Feel great about that. He's a redshirt junior, gets to come back next year. I know how to comment about isn't Boomer a senior. He's got another year, I believe. Alex Teubner, Tubes, Alexander. Yeah. What'd you see? What'd you like?
I think you kind of touched on it. Positives from the game. I think special teams played one of maybe their more complete games over the course of the season. And as guys that were in that locker room, walking off the field for your last time as a senior, there's a sense of pride in doing it the right way. Whether or not you play good's one thing, but playing hard. And one guy in particular that, especially early on in the game, that we noticed is Marco Notriani. Yep. And there's others on that list too, but I think some of the older guys that this is the last time that put on the blue and orange played hard tonight. But they're also probably the same guys that if they're interviewed after the game, that they wouldn't point that out and they'd take a lot of the blame or responsibility for the loss on their own. And it's probably a testament to the type of guys and the responsibility they feel with this team. I just want to make sure that after a game like this, which no one wants to end a season this way, that we still appreciate what those guys give into this program. Yeah, because I think that easily gets lost after a game where you lose 38-10 in a bowl game against an opponent like Washington, that a win would have been huge for our program, is that a lot of guys that have invested a lot into this program, sacrificed their bodies, put their bodies on the line, and played here for 5+ years. That was their last time in a Boise State uniform tonight. And that's a tough thing for those guys that have given a lot to this team. I'm not trying to disregard where the fans are at. We feel the same way that the fans are feeling right now. That was tough, no question about it. But there's a lot of guys that, you talk about the Marcos, talk about the Matt Louders, talk about the Mason Randolphs. Mason Randolph's running out there with 8 different braces on to be able to play in this game. I mean, you're just looking at that. That was their last game in a Boise State uniform, so it sucks to see him go out this way. I'm not trying to dodge around the point. That was not what we wanted to see tonight by any means, and the fans and alumni alike have every right to feel the way we do about that game. But, tough for them to go out that way.
Yeah, you mentioned Marco Notriani. Marco finished with 9 tackles, had 2 TFLs, a sack. As a team, had 5 sacks, which obviously, it's a positive. 7 TFLs in total. We're able to force the fumble. That was Roman Kaywood forcing it, who's I believe, a redshirt freshman. Yep. So he's got a bright future ahead of him. Chris Marshall, 5 catches, 97 yards. Had a couple drops, which has been his thing, but 13 targets when it was all said and done. Like he got the ball his way. Latrell Caples, who has not had a good season, 5 catches, 70 yards, got to finish on a fairly positive note. You guys talked about Matt Lauder, finished with a touchdown, the only touchdown the Broncos had. And how about this for a win? The 4 losses Boise State had this year, they scored 7 points. You didn't score 7 points today. You know, you find a little win. It was only 10, but you got over that first hump, right? And if you want to win games and score more than 30 points to beat a team, it starts with getting past 7, and they showed that step tonight. So
yeah,
go ahead.
To add on to that, I think I always talk about, as a fan base, they hold us to high standards, or hold Boise State to high standards, as they should, right? We have high expectations, and at no point is this any sort of a charity case, or, for a lack of better terms, it's we need to, and we expect ourselves, as a guy that was once in that locker room, to win those big games, right? So I know this program is on the right track and under the right leadership. It's just a matter of failing, figuring it out, executing, failing, figure it out. But at some point, this program is going to break the seal, and we're going to start winning these big games. And wish it came tonight, but there's still plenty of good things to build off of going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of order of operations tonight, guys, we'll talk a little bit about the game, sort of break it down, what we saw, what these guys saw. We'll do a little bit of a season review as a whole. Just, hey, ultimately, how did the season go? What went well? What went wrong? How do you diagnose? How do you, digest a season where you're 9-5, which for Boise State standards isn't the standard, but at the same time, your Mountain West championships, what are the conflicted feelings there? And then towards the end of the show, we'll do a little bit of sort of off-season discussion, looking ahead to next year, and live interviews with B.J. Rains. B.J. will be joining later on. He'll have interviews from Spencer Danielson and players. Obviously, we don't know at this time what players are going to be interviewed, but that's sort of the show rundown that we'll have. And obviously, thank you guys for joining us. And man, it takes guts to join after a loss like that, right? It's easy to come on, you beat UNLV, win a Mountain West championship, and you get to hype up your guys, but also, this is football. Sometimes you lose games, and there's growth, and there's self-reflection that comes from it. What did you guys see, obviously, that did not go well tonight? Especially you two both played defense. You give up 38 points. Obviously, turnovers are a part of that. I said early on in the pregame show, if Boise State's going to win this game, it probably needs to be a 17-13 kind of dogfight game. I just don't think that the offense was ever going to score 30, 40 points against Washington. Defensively, where did things go wrong for this team tonight?
I'm sure Teubner's going to piggyback off me here, but I was talking to him in the first couple quarters of this game. There was a lot of, in the first quarter particularly, this defense was playing lights out, and the thing that was hurting us was pocket leverage. I think that at times tonight, the pocket leverage side hurt us on defense, which then opened some things up in terms of coverage. We needed the pass rush to get home, and it didn't. And then, obviously, offensively, we've already touched on it. The turnover margin, -4. It's very hard to win a football game against anybody when you're -4. Against a really good Washington squad, you're basically impossible territory at that point. So, to me, it's just combining the rush and the coverage for those explosive touchdowns that hit us, you know which ones I'm talking about, that it just ends up working together, and you bring pressure. Sometimes that's the razor's edge you live on, and tonight it got us.
Yeah, I think 2 metrics that are usually tried and true to determine the outcome of a football game is explosive plays and the turnover margin, and we lost both of them tonight in a major way. Like Mike said, I think the first 20 minutes of that football game, we were playing we weren't necessarily moving the ball on offense, or scoring points, but there was competitive drives, and then we kind of would stall out, or something happened on defensively. We're sharp. We're playing good. And then that first blown coverage happened, and we were talking about it. And, even I couldn't tell you exactly the play call there. Obviously, I think it was a unique play call, or maybe it was miscommunication before the ball snapped. But I think that was kind of a turning point in this game. And we didn't do what we needed to do to bounce back to that. So to keep it short and simple, you got to take care of the ball on offense, and you got to eliminate the explosive plays on defense.
And referring to that 78-yard touchdown pass that Denzel Boston caught from Damon Williams Jr. At that point in the game, I believe it was 3-3 in the second quarter, 10 minutes left. Defense has been playing well. And you have that miscommunication. They send both corners, and Ty Benefield takes the crosser, not the crosser, but the guy coming towards on the out route. As you guys called it, what'd you call it? Cross country?
Yeah, it's a variation of a cross country concept is what we call it. It's two deep crossers, and pretty much everyone else is staying in protection. It's two-man route concept.
Yeah, and essentially you can, as safeties there, Zion Washington, Ty Benefield, you can either pass off the players as they cross, or you can stick with your man. Zion Washington passes off the coverage. Ty Benefield sticks with his man, which means they're both on one guy. Denzel Boston wide open. And we talked about it. Like, it looked like maybe that wasn't meant to be a double corner blitz, or maybe that was a miscommunication. But one of those things where top to bottom things didn't go well. And at the end of the day, anytime you're bringing 6 or 7 guys like that, like, pressure needs to get home on that particular play.
100%.
Defensively, I think at the end of the day, if you use the old metrics of like 20-plus yards on a pass play, 12-plus yards on a run play, you give up 5 explosive runs against Washington. It's been an issue all season long. It's kind of been the Achilles heel of this team, as teams have been able to hit explosive runs against the Broncos. The Huskies able to do 5 of them tonight. What did you guys see? What was going on with the run defense? Why was UW able to hit multiple explosive runs in this game?
And obviously, being Boise State, like, we pride ourselves first on stopping the run, and that didn't happen tonight with those explosive runs. I mean, end of the day, tackling is something that we've talked about for a long time, and that's a theme that came back up tonight. They've gotten better in the past 2 weeks before this game, and tonight it showed up again. So I think tackling combined with some holes and guys jumping out of gaps, that just led to those explosives. 5 explosive runs at the end of the day is unacceptable regardless, and that ended up hurting us. I think that, kind of the whole thing about tonight was just complimentary football, just a lack of it at times, and it just kind of snowballed out of control on us pretty quick.
Yeah, and as we're talking here, got video of some of the players here hugging, shaking hands. Obviously, for the seniors, it's the end of their careers. You talked about guys like Matt Lauder, guys like Dion Washington, like Zion Washington as well. Like their football playing careers, at least as Boise State Broncos, maybe they go on playing the NFL or whatever it may be is done. But even for the underclassmen, like, you're seeing some of your brothers walk away from the game. I mean, you guys each played 6 years at Boise State. So you've had this final game experience 6 separate times. What does it feel like? And how much does ending on a loss impact the feeling of this season and having that last goodbye to your teammates?
It's an indescribable experience. I said it after the Fiesta Bowl last year. Like, it wouldn't matter to me if we lost by 1 point, if we lost by 40. Like, it's still the end of the road. And a lot of those guys are going through that right now. A lot of guys that have put a lot into this program, in a lot of years stacked up, whether it was 1 year or whether it was 5 years. So just a lot of emotions. You see Mason Randolph right there. That's a guy that has sold everything in his body to this program. That's a tough day for him today. And, a guy that's definitely going to have an opportunity to keep on playing football, but for other guys, not so much. And this is the last game they'll ever play. So it's tough when you look at it that way. But at the same time, I do empathize with the fans. We saw what we saw at the end of the day. Like, we're not idiots here. Like, there's things that are going to have to be addressed going into the offseason and going into the next season if we want this program to keep going the way it does. I know for a fact we have the right people in place to lead this program in the right direction. It's just going to be a matter of getting it done over the next 8 months before we go on the road to Oregon next year.
Yeah, and we've got a variety of comments here. We've got, one commenter saying, hey, this is a Big Sky level team. We shouldn't even be competing at this level. Just drop down because it's not even close. Got another fan here just saying, hey, we're fine. Everything's good. Bounce back next year. Everything will go well. And then another fan saying, hey, this is a great G5 school, but there's a gap there from the G5 to the P4. I mean, Teubner, where is the state of Boise State football right now after a loss like this, where it's been a tough season, lots of ups and downs. You bounce back and win a conference championship, and then come out and kind of lay an egg against Washington's a good Power 4 team, no doubt about it. They go 8-4 and 5-4 in the Big Ten, but where's the state of the program? Do you feel like, you're just at a level where you're not competing with Power 4 teams anymore? I mean, I doubt you'll say they should drop down to the Big Sky, but I don't know. Maybe that's your feelings on it. Like, where's your outlook on the program after a loss like tonight?
I think that kind of twofold. One, to answer the bell and to do what, and to kind of back up what we're talking about. You need to win these big games, right? And that's undisputed. That's the standard of this program. But also remember that there's a 4-year span where this team hadn't won a conference championship. Now we've won 3 in a row. So we're absolutely going in the right direction as a program, but the next leap is winning these big games against these bigger opponents. And I think there's a lot of things that go into that. Should we drop down to the Big Sky? That's a ridiculous comment. We just won the Mountain West.
Hey, our collegiate brothers up north in Moscow did it, right? It's worked out for them in the sense of they made a playoff and haven't really done much.
Yeah, well, are any of those teams win the Mountain West? So I don't know. I think that's probably comes from just more frustration than anything. I get it with high expectations, but no. To wrap it up, this program's going in the right directions. But I'm sure you're going to hear from Coach Danielson here in a minute, and he's always one that's first to accept blame and the last one and first one to reject praise. So, but he knows that this program needs to win these big games to go where they want to go.
Well, and we had a comment in particular here of someone, and they were asking earnestly. I don't think they were trying to get on you, but they were saying what do you mean when you say you think this program is going in the right trajectory? Being a part of the program last year and even seeing this year, obviously this is a step back from going to the CFP, but since Spencer Danielson has taken over, what have you seen that you feel like, yes, now compared to 4 years ago or 6 years ago when you got to Boise State, what about the program tells you that it's going in the right direction?
The landscape of college football today in 2025 is drastically different than even last year.
Right.
It is crazy in terms of what goes on behind the scenes, in terms of the money that's being thrown around, the transfer portal, recruiting, both in terms of high school and the transfer portal. We are absolutely going in the right direction, especially for a group of 5 school right now. We are competing at the highest level with group of 5 schools. It's just that it changes every single year. There's player contracts. It's 1 year to 4-year contracts. There's a lot of different language that goes into those clauses. We are absolutely doing things the right way. It has nothing to do with that. We just have to keep on pushing this thing forward, and it's going to keep going forward. We're getting community investment. In the community of 100% bought into this team in today's day and age, that is invaluable because a lot of other people are getting left behind. I promise you, it's going to become more prevalent in the next couple of years because a lot of people don't know where they are going in the program. And people in both right now in the Mountain West, there's a lot of programs without any form of certainty or direction. There's a certainty with Boise State fans. Boise State program that you have fan support, you have booster support, you have money coming into the program. You're going to be able to field a competitive team year in and year out. And you have the right people steering this ship. It just might not seem like it at times. Boise State has faced some of the better teams in the country over the last couple of years. 2023, we faced University of Washington national championship. Last year we faced Oregon, number 1 team in the country. We ended up losing to Penn State, who was the number 3 team in the country in the first round or the second round of the playoffs.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah, right.
Own that quarterfinals. You earned that bye.
Right. And then, you look at the USF and the Notre Dame game this year. If you heard the numbers that those teams have, you'd want to throw it. We are absolutely going in the right direction. This is an ever-changing landscape. It might seem difficult at times, but we absolutely have the right people at the helm. The community investment's right there. It's going to continue to get better. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, and to answer your question about what I mean by going in the right direction, in a world where, first of all, the history of Boise State prides itself on developing players, on instilling culture in these guys that shows up when you're drug out to deep waters. to be both physically and mentally tough, to play together as a team rather than a group of individuals. We're in a state of college football where guys are in and out on a yearly basis, and that what we once knew as college football is all but gone, right?
Yeah.
What Boise State is doing is they are refusing to reject the change, right, wrong, or indifferent. They're saying that this is not the way we're going to do things here. We're going to continue to stick true to our values. It's just how do we still navigate this new territory of the NIL world, because it absolutely has affected us, and it will continue to affect us. And Coach Danielson is doing a phenomenal job adapting, but clearly we're not quite there yet. But I promise you that I've been around a lot of phenomenal coaches. This staff is phenomenal. There's a list of coaches that could go coach at much bigger schools. There's players that could go play at bigger schools with more money, like if that's the standard we're being compared to. But they stay here because they believe in the purpose. And at some point, the seal will be cracked. We'll find the right combination of being able to navigate the new world and maintain what built this program and where it's going to be. And we will figure it out. But until we start winning these bigger games, it's going to continue to get pushed.
And I'll say this. I mean, we've had a few comments in here talking about, teams 0-10 since 2019 against Power 14. And I guess what I'll answer to that is, obviously, you're 0-1 with Brian Harsin in those games. Spencer Danielson now, in his time as Boise State's head coach, is 0-5 in those games. But I think there's a little bit of an asterisk there because those losses are to UCLA with a guy who's currently QB3, QB4 at Utah State, right? Both your top two quarterbacks are gone for that game. That hurt. And you still put up points against a UCLA defense who had 5 players drafted, I think. That was a really good UCLA team. But then you get number 1 Oregon, Notre Dame. Like, it's not like Boise State's losing to Wake Forest. It's not like Boise State's losing to Rutgers. It's not like Boise State's losing to Oklahoma State, right? And even actually the one loss they actually did have to Oklahoma State was an Oklahoma State team that won the Big 12 and played for a Fiesta Bowl and beat Notre Dame, right? Like, there has been some really bad luck in the P4 teams they've drawn. This was probably the most winnable game of the Spencer Danielson era, and it didn't come together. And I think that there's definitely some real takeaways to have from this performance. And we'll talk about the quarterbacks here in a second, because I think that's going to be the talk of the offseason, and especially the next month as the portal approaches. And we'll navigate it. Obviously, you guys played with Maddox Madsen. That's your teammate. That's your brother. I'm not going to ask you to throw him under the bus or anything. But I think to some extent, have a little bit of patience with Spencer Danielson as fans, because we saw what he could do going to the CFP last season. This year, even in a very down year, your starting quarterback gets hurt, still finds a way to win a conference championship.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, Bronco Nation, if Andy Avalos was as bad as a lot of you guys feel he was, like, it'll take a little bit of time to get some of the guys that Spencer feels like he needs to get into the program. Like it or not, like that's just going to be a reality of this situation. So I agree. I think there's certainly positive steps. I mean, you just compare it to the Avalos era. I feel like a lot of the game management stuff in game has been much, much better. Obviously, the team seems more motivated. The locker room's in a healthier place. And I mean, you guys went through it. Like, the players love Spencer. They rally around Spencer. When the team was 6-4 this year, there's some locker rooms that maybe get lost when they feel like they're out of it. Like, I think that there is some life to be spoken to in the fact that team rallied, they won 2 more games, and then got off the mat and beat UNLV in a conference championship. Like, maybe that doesn't happen under the prior 10 years. So in terms of just like what practicals have been seen, I think there are some things there to be encouraged about, I guess, to put it that way. Now, with that said, I think there's going to be some hard decisions to make this offseason, right? I think one thing is clear. Boise State is not playing at the level of the standard that Boise State expects to be at. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying go back to the Kellen Moore era. I don't think Boise State's going to be a consistent top 5 team. I think that's an unrealistic expectation. But Boise State should be the best or one of the best G5 programs and should be going 10-2, 11-1. I guess start there. Is that fair to say like that's where Boise State should be at, even in the current climate of college football?
Absolutely. I'd also add on top of that, though, that we don't necessarily know that we're not a top G5 program. We'll see what James Madison and Tulane do in the playoffs, but I mean, there could be a huge gap, and it could show up in a major way when they play better competition. But to add a little more on top of that, I think we have separated ourselves from, or started to separate ourselves from the G5 competition. And I know this year was a little cloudy in a couple areas, but I think that is a testament to the true gap and the effect that NIL has had on college football. And that is the gap we have to overcome, the difference between we're not competing necessarily against trying to be the best G5. We're trying to close the gap. And it's also, you got to kind of make it a realistic expectation of we have a lot less to work with than some of these bigger programs. So expect this team to be able to do that every single year isn't necessarily the realistic expectation, or even as much as I love Boise State, the expectation we need to have. Now, in that locker room with that team, I absolutely believe I believed every year and every game we went into that we could win. But we also need to understand that it is still a Cinderella story. As much as we believe in our program and our team, we're doing a lot more with a lot less than a lot of these teams are out there.
And I think
it's crazy that 2011 Boise State feels like they're on top of the world and that they've conquered the gap. I mean, it's something I've talked about a lot. The 2010 Boise State team, like in terms of power ratings, would have been favored against Oregon or Auburn in a national championship game.
Right.
And just times have changed. Like Boise State's fallen down a little bit. Like Kellen Moore's not walking through that door. Like 50-3 is not walking through that door. Like that's a special quarterback.
Yeah.
But then it does kind of walk through the door in Ashton Genty, right? Like best running back in program history. But the gap has just grown. Like Washington's a program that I don't know what their exact NIL number is, but they're probably a $15, $20, $25 million roster when it's all put together. And Boise State's just not there right now. And the reality is they want to get there. And look, Jeremiah Dickey set the standard, right? He says all the time, and you guys probably know the exact saying, but it's something along the lines of what we have is enough, but we're always working for more.
Yep.
Right? Their belief is what they have is enough. And if you're going to say that, it means, hey, money-wise, we have enough. We got to get the development. We have to get our players ready to go compete against a Big Ten program like this. So, but I know you wanted to say something.
And that was kind of my point when I was saying that earlier. Like, I'm not trying to discredit any of the fans here. Like, I'm right there with you and how I'm feeling about this. Don't get me wrong. But you talk about the disparity in terms of the money. We're not there yet. We are growing towards getting the team on the field that we need to have on the field. It's going to take time and continued investment into this program, but it's there. A lot of Group of 5 programs can't say the same thing. And going back to Teubner's point about the disparity you might see next weekend with JMU and Tulane, makes me a little nervous about the state of the Group of 5 for sure, because I don't know if they're going to go out there and put up the performance that we did last year in the Fiesta Bowl against the third team in the country. Just being honest with you. I don't think that those teams are sniffing where we were last year. And I think that the real disparity between the Group of 5 and those college football playoff teams and really top-tier Power 4 teams like that is probably going to be on display. But Boise State is definitely approaching where they want to be in terms of the standard that's expected by the fans that has been earned over time with this program and with fan support. It's getting back to there. It's just going to take some more time and more continued investment because, like I said, there's just so much behind the scenes that people don't know about that's just completely changing the landscape of college football. Look at LSU. Look at Penn State. Look at all those big programs this year. I mean, James Franklin gets fired. He went to the semifinals last year. Gets fired at Penn State. And they fired him without knowing that they had a better guy waiting. And I'm not trying to say that Campbell from Iowa State isn't, a great coach or anything like that, but that's just kind of where we're at in college football. It's college football playoff or bust. Yeah. Not just for the Power 4s, not even talking about the Group of 5s, which in our expectation, it should be that Boise State's going to the college football playoff every year, and we got to win a college football playoff game. That's where we got to get to, and we're growing to that point. I know this year had its ups and downs. I'm a fan of this year's team. There was a lot of reasons. We were talking about the 6 and 4s. When we were 6 and 4, majority of teams in the country quit in the locker room at that point, and they came back and they had their most dominant game of the year in the Mountain West Championship against UNLV, and that was a good UNLV team. Yeah, that team went 10-2. 10-3.
Yeah,
that's a 10-win team. Right?
Yeah,
that's still a good team. It's certainly.
it's going to take some more time. I do feel for the fans, though. I'm not trying to discredit anybody. Come after me in the comments. I'm sorry, I'm not going after you. I'm right there with you. I empathize, but I do know that we're heading in the right direction. It's just going to take some time.
So had a couple of comments about this, the state of the G5, and I want to get this kind of high-level thought, and then I want to kind of dive back into the offense because we didn't really have a chance to talk about the offense, which deserves its conversation. A couple of people have said, hey, G5 should have its own playoff. Like, the gap has grown so much, money-wise, talent-wise, body type-wise. You got our friend at CBS Sports, at Bud Elliott, saying that there's it's an injury risk to throw JMU out there against Oregon.
It's ridiculous.
And I agree. It's insane. Like, Boise State played Oregon. Like, Ashton Genty. I mean, even take Ashton Genty out of it. Like, Boise State's not getting hurt against Notre Dame or against whoever. Anyways, do you guys think G5 should have its own playoff? Boise State should compete for a G5 championship? Or
absolutely not.
Do you guys want to be in the CFP and compete with those top level programs?
No, no. I think one of these days, not only at G5, but it will be Boise State is going to be the team to break the seal and win a national championship. And I think it's going to change the nature of college football. And I think it's going to change. How people approach the sport. It's going to take some time. You have to figure it out, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, you can relate a lot to, I love the movie Moneyball, and that's kind of the situation we're in. And you got to do more with less. I'm kind of a little bit of story time here. I remember going into last season, fall camp practice, me and Mike went at coffee, and we're trying to get a little caffeine and make it through afternoon meetings. And I told Mike I expect this team, and I believe that we can win a national championship. It was the first year of the playoffs, and he kind of looked at not throwing you under the bus, kind of looked at me like,
I mean, that's valid.
Yeah, I kind of looked at me like I was crazy.
I was like, all right, dude.
But all of a sudden, we lost a 3-point game to Oregon, where essentially we spotted them 17 points on special teams. And there's no such thing as a moral victory. We lost the game, but we absolutely should have won that game at Oregon, and they ended up being the number 1 seed going to the playoffs. Like, this program, this team, they have the right pieces. They just have to put it together at the right time to get it done. And, we can be frustrated until that happens, but at some point it's going to happen, and then it's going to be a story worth remembering, because I think college football, the pendulum has swung so far one direction. It's only a matter of time before it swings back and college football returns to what it should be.
Well, and I've said this before about Spencer Danielson, that I think the best asset from a very high level, some guys are schematic guys, some guys are team builders. Like, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses as head coaches. And I think the single best thing Spencer Danielson does is his relationship building with players. And because of that, it helps Boise State's player retention. You talked about the Moneyball approach. It is just mathematically, the way the market works, it is cheaper to retain a player than go get a player in a portal, right? Like, keeping, and just as an example, keeping an Alexander Teubner who's already on your team is going to cost less than trying to get an Alexander Teubner who's in the portal. Just going to cost more money. And so you talk about the Moneyball approach, like, Spencer Danielson's the guy to execute it, because he's going to get the guy. He's going to get the Cage Casey, who, if Cage gone to the portal, he's going to get well over $1 million in the portal.
Yep.
He decides to come back at Boise State because he loves Spencer. He loves the city. And I don't know what Cage was making. Gut feeling, it was probably less than $1 million. We were talking about, Jeff Choate said that Isaiah World was getting 1.4 at Oregon. Like, there's that kind of money out there. So for Spencer to be able to apply that Moneyball approach with his ability to retain players, I think for a Boise State and where this team is at, like, that is the type of coach that you need. Because the alternative is you do have a guy like Jeff Choate, who has been very publicly like, yeah, you come here, you'll get a chance to play, and we'll ship you off somewhere else to make more money, which is fine. That's their approach, but it's not the approach to go potentially win a national championship. Now, with all that said, to kind of reel this all back into this game that we had here tonight, the offense comes up short once again. And that's kind of been the story of the season in the big games. 7 points against USF, 7 points against Notre Dame, 10 points tonight. And the story in all of those games is, at times, Boise State moved the ball pretty well, couldn't convert on 4th downs, couldn't hit explosive plays. What did you guys see out of the offense tonight that stood out to you, particularly more on the negative side, that just didn't work for you?
I'm going to keep harping on it. turnovers.
Yeah.
End of the day, I mean, you can't. Not even talking schematics, not even talking about the yards gained, not even talking about fourth downs. You turn the ball over 5 times, it's going to be hard to win a game, no matter what level of football we're talking about. I mean, the turnovers have been a story, especially in the losses throughout the year. To me, that was the biggest factor tonight. If we don't make those turnovers in crucial situations in the first half, especially, I think this is a different story coming out of this game, especially with the way the team showed up. Obviously you got to respond to those turnovers too. It's complimentary football, and that did not happen tonight. But I do think offensively, I think that the turnovers were a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, you win a game by controlling the ball and scoring points. We didn't get it done. We turned the ball over, put defense in bad spots. Defense put offense right back on the field in bad spots. I think we kind of played an incomplete game as a whole. And when both sides are showing chinks in the armor, it can kind of have a snowball effect. So I don't want to harp on it too much. I think, I've been in the locker room and I understand those guys put a lot of work and they are as pissed off or dissatisfied as anybody. But in order to win a game like that against a good opponent, you gotta play your best game. And we just didn't show up how we needed to tonight.
Yeah, and in terms of some of the individual stats from this game, Boise State 58 yards rushing. Even if you adjust for sacks, just 73 yards rushing, only 2.9 yards per carry. This team harps on being a run first team. We got to run the ball to be able to set up everything else that we do. Washington had just one TFL on run plays. I thought the O-line did a good enough job of creating enough to let the running backs get a little bit of space, and just at the end of the day, 2.9 yards per carry, not going to cut it. The quarterback play obviously was not there. Maddox Madsen in the first half, 7 of 16, 51 yards for 2 interceptions. Gets hurt, was in a boot at halftime, which will be its own conversation. But Max Cutforth comes into the second half. A little bit better on the completion percentage, 15 of 27 at 202 yards. Did throw the touchdown to Matt Lauder at the end of the game, but still has 3 interceptions. You talked about those turnovers and how much they hit hard with this team. Starting with the run game, 0 run explosives created, just 2.9 yards per carry. Was there anything in particular that you saw in the run game that wasn't working? Is it just running backs need to be more elusive? Is there bigger holes? Is there more creativity that needs to happen? Where did things go wrong? And I know the answer is a combination of all the things, right. But where do things need to specifically get better? That if obviously you're not an offensive coordinator, but haven't played defense, that you saw that was that's where things were maybe a little too easy tonight for UW.
I think that end of the day, I think UW did a really good job with their fits against our offensive scheme. I think they did a really good job of wrapping. I mean, at the end of the day, because up front, I mean, even with Cage not playing and the injuries we had, I know Roger went down pretty seriously for a second there. I didn't think that our O-line struggled too mightily in the run game tonight. I just think that UW did a really good job of tackling. I think we got to break some tackles at some point, but end of the day, 58 total yards rushing, not the standard, not what we're looking for. Even adjusting for the sacks doesn't matter. We're looking for a minimum of 120 yards a game rushing in any given game, and getting 58, that's just not going to cut the mustard on that part of the game.
Yeah, I think we could poke holes in individual aspects of the game, especially offensively. I think there's a lot to be said about the momentum of a game and how the dynamics of a game change, right? So if you're down by 3 scores late in the third quarter, the run game isn't necessarily gonna be the priority, right? You got to move the ball fast, you got to score fast, and that shifts the advantage drastically towards the defense. So that doesn't necessarily give the run game the opportunity to meet their statistic requirements or their quotas like you might be able to evaluate a typical game. In a game like this, I get kind of messy relatively early on. It affects a lot of those statistical categories. So it's easy to poke holes in individual parts of the game. I think you got to look at it as a complete picture and just realize that as a team, this team got set back early and got put behind the chains, so to speak, which which it's not a good spot to be in on either side of the ball, and it kind of had a snowball effect.
And in the passing game, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the quarterbacks, and we'll have that conversation. I want to do it with a little bit of grace. Like I said, I know obviously a lot of you fans in the ICCU YouTube chat, you're teeing off and you're angry, and I think justifiably so. But at the same time, you guys are both teammates of Max Cutforth and Maddox Metz, and I know you're not going to come on here and just put them on blast, and nor do I think we'd want you to, right? Those are your teammates, your friends. But generally speaking, Max Cutforth comes in, has some of the turnovers, but created a little bit more offense. Through what you've seen this season between Cutforth and Madsen, for you guys is just now kind of being fans. Is that something that next year you want to see an open competition with those two, or has Cutforth shown enough for an open competition? Do you guys feel like, hey, Maddox is the guy? Having been in the locker room, sort of what is your perspective on where things are at in the QB room right now, especially at a game that, I mean, even though they're your teammates, I think we can all acknowledge, like, it was a struggle tonight. Things did not look good as they needed to.
I think after the way that this year went, I think that if not the biggest priority, but one of the bigger priorities going into next year is bringing experience into the quarterback room. It's not a shot on either of those guys, Maddox and Max. Max at times this year, Max is the reason we got in that one championship game. Like, team, obviously, the team played well. I'm not trying to say that against Colorado State and Utah State, but Max played at a very high level in those two games and got us to the Mountain West championship game. However, just looking back at quarterback rooms in the past, you look at a Jack Sears, you look at a Jalen Henderson, you look at those guys when we had depth, Chase Cord, those kind of guys. We had experience in the quarterback room, whether that's JUCO or whether that's Division I football. I think that we do need to get some experience in the quarterback room going into next year outside of Maddox and Max. I think that having that healthy competition is not a bad thing. Even if you are saying that Maddox is the guy going into next year, I don't think having more guys in there to push the needle and keep pushing guys forward, I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm not trying to say that that's not what didn't happen this year. It's just that Maddox goes down, you don't have any experience behind him. It's a tricky situation, but I do think that that'll be a big priority going into next year. Excuse my voice, by the way, I'm sick, so sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's something that, having been through the Brian Harsin tenure, it's something he always prioritized was, even though we have Brett Rippon, who's the second best quarterback in program history, we're bringing in a Montel Kozar.
Yeah,
we're bringing in a Jalen Henderson. We're bringing in, even though we have Hank Bachmeier, who balled out as a freshman and looks like the future of the program.
Jack Sears.
We're bringing in a Jack Sears because he just believed it's sort of the Howie Roseman approach and from the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, he's got Carson Wentz, who looks like an MVP candidate, and he's still drafting Jalen Hurts in the second round. Because it's like, if there's one room that you just always want to try to find better, it's quarterback. Because at the end of the day, like in this game that we love, quarterback's the most important position. And when you find that guy who's a difference maker, when you find your Brett Rippon or your Kellen Moore, that can elevate your team more than anything. I think what you're saying is absolutely fair. Teubner, what are you thinking over there?
I think understandably so, when things don't go your way and expectations aren't met, the blame or needs to be assigned to somebody, and it goes head coach, quarterback, and that's the nature of the beast at that position. You wear a lot of weight on your shoulders, and I think that people who really understand the game of football, if you turn back the tape and you watch to see what receivers were actually open on this play, when you're staring at your TV cussing out Mad Dog, or what was the protection supposed to look like, right? I mean, we talk about how a guy like Cage influences the game. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean whoever Kyle Cox stepping at left tackle has a bad game, but O-line is a cohesive unit, right? So when the most experienced and best player on your offensive line isn't there, it affects the entire unit as a whole, and the whole pass protection is getting messed up. So I say that to say Mad Dog's a phenomenal football player, and one of my most favorite teammates I've ever had, dating back well beyond Boise State, and I absolutely believe him as a competitor. And he's I wish the season would have reflected how good of a football player he truly is, but he's also a phenomenal leader, and he's the guy you want when your back's up against the wall. And then on top of that, that doesn't take away from Max Cutforth, right? I've been in that position. I've been the guy where your opportunity comes at somebody else's injury or some other unfortunate circumstance. Max showed up with no experience. He had a learning lesson against San Diego State. after that, Max is a huge reason, maybe the reason why this team was able to find its way front door, back door, whatever you want to call it, in the Mountain West Championship. So I have absolutely nothing but respect for Max. He did his job as at the time, backup quarterback, but stepping up to he did his 1/11th, as we like to say. He made the most of his role. And, I mean, that dude, he's a hometown kid. He stepped up. He played good ball. He's continuing to play good ball when he gets his opportunities. But at the end of the day, right, whoever's at the quarterback, this team, like we talked about before, there's expectations that need to be met, and we need to find a way to win these big games.
Yeah, and I think the part that can't get lost that you sort of touched on is that the quarterback play was not good tonight. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that part of it, but the offensive line wasn't great. Obviously, Cage was not a part of it, and we'll talk about that again in a second. The wide receivers, it's not like there were guys screaming wide open. Now, in the first half, I thought Maddox missed a few guys, but in the second half, there's few situations where guys are screaming wide open. I think it's definitely a team loss. Nothing worked well for the offense. Mm-hmm. I would echo what you said, Callahan, that I think you have to go find a quarterback in the portal this offseason and let him compete. Look, when they brought in Malachi Nelson, I thought it was a genius move because you're taking a shot on upside, right? Like there was a reason the kid was a 5-star. Now, Maddox Madsen outplayed him, won the job. And clearly with what we saw from Malachi Nelson at UTEP this year, that was the right decision. Like Malachi Nelson, I think at one point this year had 2 touchdowns and 10 interceptions or something along those lines, right? But I think you have to find competition because, and I don't expect you guys to respond to this, but I said it at the halftime show that from what we've seen from Maddox Madsen over his career so far, if he's your starting quarterback going into Oregon week 1, I think you're going to lose that game. If the goal of this program is to win a CFP game, we just have not seen against good defenses Maddox Madsen elevate to that level. And at halftime, we had all these people coming, we need Cutforth's the guy, he's the future of the program. They're not in there anymore, right? Because Max Cutforth didn't have a good half. All that to say that I think just where the QB room is right now, it's good enough to win you a Pac-12 championship, absolutely. I do think that they need to find a way to upgrade the room next year if you want to win a CFP game. And maybe that's internal development. Maybe you're bringing in your Jack Sears and it pushes Maddox to be better and he wins the job and he has the best year of his career. Like, I don't think the answer is just ship everyone out and bring in somebody new and make them the guy. I think competition's the way to go about it. And we'll have lots of off-season articles breaking down what this team needs to do. That would be my approach on it. I understand there's NIL and financials and all this stuff where you have to strategize to it, but clearly quarterback in the biggest moments this year wasn't up to par. Like, to me, that has to be a priority to figure out. We need to figure out a way to get better quarterback play next year. You talked a little bit about Cage Casey and the fact that, wasn't here today. Kyle Cox stepped in. O-line play, I think it's hard to judge live exactly how well it's always going. For the most part, I thought Kyle Cox had a fine game. It wasn't like I was constantly seeing, Boise State's left tackle got beat badly again. Right. For the most part, I thought he played well. Obviously, you guys are friends with Cage Casey. He's a teammate of yours. But what do you make of the decision for him to opt out? Is that something that players in the locker room, are they going to respect that? Is there maybe going to be look a little bit different at Cage? Does it feel like he's quitting on the team, or is it just, that's the world of NIL and the world of you're preparing for the NFL draft? Haven't been in the locker rooms. What did you guys make of that decision from Cage Casey?
I think, talking about it, this year being different than even last year when Teubner and I were in it, it's just a different landscape right now. And I guarantee there was a lot of transparency between the staff and Cage and what everybody's hearing about going into this game. At the end of the day, they made this decision. This wasn't, I don't think that this was just a Cage coming in and saying, I don't want to play anymore. I think that they had enough responsible conversations about it that this was the move that they decided on. And I know there's a lot of other factors that we all talked about a little bit that goes into this. I think that this is a guy that had every reason not to be at Boise State this year, that ended up being here and playing 13 games here. So I'm not going to hold it against Cage Casey personally. As an alumni, I know that a lot of guys, sorry about my voice, by the way, it's getting bad. But I mean, personally, I'm not holding it against him. That's just my own opinion. I think that there's a ton of factors in it with both his future and with the financial side of things, and also, just on the team, I think that the mindset of the team has had to adapt too. I think that they've adapted and understand a decision like this, and I'm certain that there were a lot of conversations about this during the week, both between the staff, Cage, and the team. So
yeah, I think we need to recognize the fact that it's unfair for any of us to have an opinion unless we've been in that situation.
Yeah.
And Mike and I were never in that situation where you're projected to be a first-round draft pick.
Not even kind of.
And you, from a purely business standpoint, you have nothing to gain by playing your best game, and you have everything to lose playing this game. And it's unfair for us to criticize that. On the flip side of things, speaking about myself, like if it's all hypothetical, imaginary, which again may be unfair, but I mean he's a team captain and rightfully so. And you want to see guys like that who have earned the right to be a team captain, step out there on the field and finish the season the right way. But I'm going to follow that up with I don't know if I've ever seen somebody more committed to this program. He absolutely could have gone and played other places and made a lot more money. But I mean, it's kind of, there's tiers, there's levels to that. It's a testament to the mission that Coach Danielson and everyone else underneath him instills in the program, and it shows the belief, similar to Ashton last year, that these players have in it. But not only did he not choose to do that, he didn't even entertain any of those opportunities. It wasn't a matter of weighing. It wasn't a cost-benefit analysis with Cage. He was going to be a Boise State Bronco through and through, and he came down to it, and he made a business decision for his future. And we're talking about a guy who's an Oregon boy, so I love him all that much more. But I mean, he wants to be an NFL football player, and he wants to play a long time, which I think he will. But it's hard. It's not fair for us to criticize a guy like that who's prioritizing his lifelong dream.
And we had two kind of separate comments in the chat here. Someone's pointing out, hey, UW's first rounders played. Why didn't he? Someone pointing out he took NIL money. He should have finished the season. And this is something I talked a little bit about in the pregame, and I'll bring it up again. Mm-hmm. I'll preface by saying I don't know the ins and outs of UW's NIL contracts. I don't know the ins and outs of Boise State's NIL contracts. However, I do know that some programs have begun adding essentially like a bowl opt-out clause, where it's like, if you opt out of your bowl game, you don't get paid your last NIL deal, or you essentially miss a paycheck. Other programs have not instituted that. So some programs, if a guy opts out of the bowl game, he still gets paid. Like essentially his deal is for the 12 regular season games and a conference championship. Like that's what their contract is. And for other guys, it is, hey, you need to play any and all games, including a bowl game. So in terms of why did UW's players not play and Cage took NIL money, I mean, it would seem at least that his NIL contract didn't require him to play in a bowl game. I don't know that for sure, because I'm assuming if it did, that he would have played. And for other programs, some of the reason that I use the example of Cam Ward, people have talked about that that Cam Ward played in the first half last year, didn't play in the second half. And I've heard that part of that was an NIL deal. Like if by playing in the first half of that game, he got his check, right? So maybe that was the situation, and maybe not. Maybe UW's players just decided they wanted that one last game, and maybe Cage had that clause and decided to turn down the extra money. I don't know, but to just sort of give some insight on why that maybe happened, maybe it was as simple as just a contract thing. And that's probably a question that maybe if we can get the head of the Boise State Collective or get Jeremiah on, kind of dive into some of that stuff. I don't know if they would even talk about it, but we do have some audio discussing Cage Casey from Spencer Danielson and just some of what went into that decision and the conversation.
How we doing, guys?
And we also have the man himself, B.J. Rains here.
Yes, how we doing?
Good.
I don't know what those guys, first of all, Michael, Teubner, appreciate you guys for being here. I'll just say, reading between the lines, the players were not happy about the Cage Casey situation. You'll hear here in a second that Matt Lauder said he was frustrated, and then when he was asked directly about it, he said, I'm not going to answer the question. And then Spencer Danielson basically declined to answer much of his answer as well. And so people can read into it what they would like, but I think you can 100% say that Cage Casey not even being at this game had an impact on his teammates and on this game tonight. And I don't know if those guys have talked about that or said that, or if they felt he should have been there. But there's obviously way more to this story than we know. But as you're going to hear for the next 3 minutes here, one question to Matt Lauder and then a question to Spencer Danielson. I'm going to play this, and then we can get your guys' response maybe afterwards.
Lose Cage with opting out. McToy is injured. Carrion gets injured. Just how more difficult did that make it for you guys? Did it change how it was working out there?
It doesn't really change anything. We're going to stick to our process. But yeah, we got to, have tight ends be in there to help, chip and, help slow those ends down. Obviously we don't have Cage. And that's frustrating, but we got to move on from it. And we did, and we went out there and we played our hearts out, and it just didn't go our way.
I guess just with you saying Cage, I know close obviously, but just with him opting out from a leadership perspective and how he plays, just how much more difficult was that without him?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Jason, right in front of you, Coach. Jason Burrell, South Bay Black Journal. Resilience and
leaving our quarterback, our team that was playing. Captain here tonight, and you mentioned the quarterback play of Maddox. I mean, is he your starter going into next season? Is that an open competition? How do you look at the quarterback position going forward? Yeah, I respect your question in regards to Cage, but we were focused on our team that was playing the game. And they had a great week of prep, and obviously it didn't go well tonight, and I take full responsibility to look at why, but our guys freaking prepped their tails off and went out there and battled. We got to be better, and I'm going to pretty much leave the question at that, BJ. And in regards to Maddox, that's our
We'll play the rest of the audio on Maddox Madsen a little later, but guys, reaction to frustrated because the tight ends had to block more, and then he said that's frustrating, and then when he was asked about it, he said, I'm not going to answer the question, and then you heard Spencer leaving it at that too. I don't know if you guys have some thoughts on that.
I mean, at the very least, I'd say anytime you lose, it's frustrating, and I'm sure that they wanted him to play, but I guess you guys have been in that locker room. I'll let you speak to it. Is that a frustrating thing if you were part of it?
Well, when I was talking earlier about the culture and the standards of Boise State, right? This is a foreign concept of opting out to bowl games. So this isn't something that necessarily has happened here, but excuse me, it is a product of what college football is becoming. So it's working its way to Boise State, which is new, and as a competitor, I fully respect or appreciate the fact that those guys don't like that, because just like Cage, they've fought their tails off to get to this point in the season. So I understand where the frustration comes, but it's also a friendly reminder of college football is changing, and even down at Boise State now.
Yeah, I think Matt's reaction kind of told a little bit of a story there.
Yeah, and look, I'll say this: don't make Cage the scapegoat of this loss, because so much else went wrong. And we talked a little bit about it. Like, he made a substantial financial sacrifice to stay at Boise State.
Yeah.
Like, just based off of what other left tackles that are on record have gotten paid, like, I don't think Boise State's paying him over $1 million this year. So I think that it's certainly, if you're a fan, and I'm speaking from the fan perspective here, obviously not a player, but yes, it's frustrating he didn't play today. These bowl games don't mean what they used to. He still gets to be a Boise State Bronco when he gets drafted, and I do think that means something, right? There's a lot of guys he could have, instead of declaring for the draft this year, taken a $1.5 million NIL deal, taken his first pro year at Oregon to get his bag, and then go to the NFL draft as an Oregon Duck, or whoever. I'm just using Oregon as an example. Like, I do think the fact that when Cage Casey is starting on Sundays and he's on Sunday Night Football, he'll say Cage Casey, Boise State Broncos. Like, I think from a fan, yes, take your 12 hours, 24 hours, be frustrated. But at the end of the day, like, he is still going to be a Bronco, and that does mean something from the program. So that's kind of my fan perspective on it. But I guess any other thoughts on the Cage part of things from a player perspective? And I mean, I'm sure you'd want to see him out there, right? Especially if you guys are going and playing the bowl game. Like, makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm there.
we decline the answer to that question.
Dude, yeah, I don't know anymore.
Very pointed decline from Matt Lauder, by the way. And And who knows? Maybe Matt just didn't want to have to talk about that. He wanted to talk about.
He did just play 4 quarters of a football game. Like I used to be worse after games, so I get it. But
well, let's talk about Lauder for a second. I mean, that dude is another example of someone who's an absolute warrior.
Yeah,
and fights for this team program and could have gone played other places and made a lot more money than even you guys may expect. And I guarantee you, if Lauder was in that situation, he would not sit out the bowl game. So,
yep.
He's a Boise State Bronco through and through, and I think he kind of embodies how the tradition of this program would feel about the situation. With that being said, I can't criticize Cage because this is not a situation that I was in.
I love this response by 676719. Said, "Good Lord, if you're going to blame Cage, just blame Ashton for leaving a year early, right?" Like,
right.
And to an extent, I agree with that. Like, this is just the landscape of college athletics now, and no one said Ashton should have stayed an extra year, and he's not a Bronco because of it. Like, yes, Cage leaves a game early, but so much of these bowl games now, a lot of times is it's almost looking forward to next season, getting to see some of the younger guys, give them a chance. Ashton had one of his breakout games in the LA Bowl his freshman year because it's kind of becomes the look ahead moment. So, and at the end of the day, there's so many bigger issues for this team for this game. Now, if Boise State had lost 10-13, and you're like, wow, I wonder if you have Cage Casey, if you're able to take that field goal drive into a touchdown. But at the end of the day, and again, I'd say if you break down this game into quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, O-line, and obviously they work as a unit. It's one of 11. I thought the offensive line was probably the best of the 4 units. I didn't think the offensive line had that bad of a game, all things considered. Kyle Cox looked fine. Yes, having Cage would have been great, but to me, the storyline coming out of this game, the thing that I would be most frustrated about would be the performance of the quarterbacks, and to an extent, the performance of the wide receivers as well. Cage opting out, it is what it is. The team knew about it beforehand, but clearly not to downplay it, clearly Matt Lauder there was some frustrations about it, and understandably so. So, a lot of comments about the quarterbacks and the quarterback play. Everyone wants to talk about quarterbacks. Everyone wants to talk about the quarterbacks. You guys have any other thoughts? Talk about this. Max Cutforth. My computer just died, but I believe had 5 passes over 15 yards today. Had, I believe, the 5 longest completions of the game. Most of them in the fourth quarter, so you could call it garbage time. I mean, what have you guys seen out of Max? You've played with Max. Is that a guy you feel like can develop into a Pac-12 caliber starter?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Max did some big things in some of the bigger moments of this season. No question. I mean, I think Maddox in the Mountain West Championship game, and then Max against Colorado State and Utah State. Those are big spots. Colorado State coming off of 2 losses in a row, for him to go out there and have the game he did again, and then the week after get Offensive Player of the Week against Utah State in a win-or-go-home game, essentially. I mean, I know you'll probably have the, whatever bowl in New Mexico on December 30th if you lose that game. But, I mean, it's essentially just win-or-go-home at that point, and he stepped up. I mean, that's a dude. He can play. It's just, it's going to depend on, are we going to go after somebody in the portal to get some more experience in the room? Do you feel good about the high school recruiting? Is there a freshman that comes in the mix next year that you feel really good about that can come in and compete right away? That part of college football gets lost sometimes. I mean, look at Cal with their true freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. So we'll see what that competition looks like next year. If Maddox is set in stone the guy, or if there's a competition to bring guys in regardless, I trust the staff, I trust the offensive staff to get the best guy out there.
And I want to detail sort of the freshman side of this, because Boise State, and I know recruiting rankings don't mean anything. I sure especially Teubner, especially you, I think of all people would echo that. I don't think you were a 4-star coming out when you walked on at Boise State.
I didn't know what stars were until I showed up at Boise State. Just to make that clear.
Stars are the things when I hit somebody that pops above their head, that sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Highest rated recruiting class in Boise State history, headlined by 2 high 3-star recruits in this class coming in as true freshmen. Highest rated recruits Boise State is coming out of the freshman ranks since a guy that you guys both know pretty well, Hank Bachmeier. Hank Bachmeier, first game as a true freshman, is the starter. Talk a little bit about, with these two young guys coming in, Hank came in, won the job, because there was a competition when he came in as a freshman.
Right.
Like, how does a team respond to an 18-year-old coming in and beating out the 22-year-olds, the older guys, the guys who've been around the program, and how do they rally around? And is that something that you think next year, like, hey, obviously I'm sure you haven't been diving into Cash Herrera or Jackson Taylor tape, but just more of the theoretics of it, like, is that something that you guys can see happening? Like, yeah, if the guy comes in and plays his best, the team will rally around him and respond?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of points made, and I kind of, well, I guess, Mike, if you have anything to say to that direct question, you should probably get it out now, because I need a second.
Yeah, sure. I think it helps. Having veterans around him. When Hank came to that situation, I know Hank was the last true freshman to start for Boise State. That 2019 team had a majority of seniors around him on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. There was a lot of really good leadership on that team. And I think that cultivated environment for him to thrive, to a point that he just got to worry about his job and doing his job on a play-to-play basis. And that's where you see the Hurricane Hank thing goes out, shout out Hank. But, it just kind of depends on the people that he has around him.
All right. Point number one. I think we need to recognize the fact that stars don't mean anything. All right. And
hey man, we're affiliated with 247 Sports now. All right, we have to say.
Yeah, you can't say that, Teubner, if you want your check tonight.
All right. For the sake of
247 stars matter a lot. Come on now.
All right.
It's actually gospel. Malachi Nelson is actually the best.
I know what you mean, and you're correct. Go. We're just kidding.
All right. For the sake of BNN, unless it's 247, stars don't mean anything. Fair. All right, moving forward. Once they get the opportunity to go in and compete at an elite college program like Boise State, we need to trust that these coaches know how to evaluate these players, and the best guy will step on the field. And is there going to be an open competition? Absolutely. There's an open competition every offseason at every position. That's what makes Boise State unique, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you might expect certain guys to go out there, but the best guy is going to be on the field. And I can promise you that. As far as
I have audio that I can play from Spencer Danielson, basically saying that's not going to be the case.
Not going to be the case as far as an open competition for
Maddox Madsen is the quarterback going forward, which I'm sure fans are going to love to hear him say. But the very first question of the presser from some guy called Touchdowns and something else I've never heard of, right away asked Spencer Danielson, do you have to go in the portal to find a quarterback for the first question? And I'm just in the back going, okay, this might not go over very well. But he basically said, no, they like who they have. Maddox Madsen's their quarterback, and that he was playing injured tonight and was a warrior even to go out there and play in the first half and battled. And there's like 3 different quotes. I got one of them that I can play here. The second part to the question I asked about, do you have to make that a competition? We can play that real quick. The first part of the question is the part about Cage Casey, but the second part is what we care about on this one. This is his thoughts on the quarterback issue, but like I said, it starts with Cage Casey here. It's a pretty quick bite.
Prep, and obviously it didn't go well tonight, and I take full responsibility to look at why, but our guys freaking prepped their tails off and went out there and battled. We got to be better, and I'm going to pretty much leave the question at that, BJ. And in regards to Maddox, that's our quarterback. And do we need to get better? Do we need to improve? Are we going to compete? All yes, but I'm unwavering in the fact that I believe in Maddox Madsen. I believe in our quarterbacks. We need to improve, and we're going to. We got 2 really good freshmen coming in. I'm excited to see them continue to come in and elevate the room. But I love our quarterbacks, and we just got to be better than we were tonight.
Sorry, this is the last question.
There you go. And that wasn't the other answer. Oh, I got to cut this off. Sorry. The other answer was actually stronger. But he believes in Maddox Madsen, and nothing has changed yet in terms of their thoughts on going into the transfer portal for a quarterback.
Yeah, and again, multiple points being made, but just because Maddox Madsen is the guy doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't competition. And if Max Cutforth outplays him for the 6 months of this offseason and then fall camp, that he's going to see the field week 1. That I don't think that's necessarily what Coach Danielson was saying. I think he's more so taming an emotional audience in that situation, right? When you say there's going to be an open competition, you're implying that, oh well, maybe Mad Dog just lost his job. So I think we need to assess the situation as a whole rather than just the rhetoric that we got from that context. But with that being said, I'll die on this hill. I played with Mad Dog. Obviously, I have an extreme bias towards my teammates. But if I take every chip I had at the table to bet that he is absolutely that guy. So, and if I'm telling you, if it was even close, that knowing what I know from Coach Danielson and that staff, that we would have ridden the hot hand, which would have been Max after Utah State. But there is definitely a very sizable difference in play level between the two quarterbacks. With that being said, I have a lot of respect towards Max. I said that before, and I think Max can continue to get better, and I want Max to compete for that job. And whoever comes in, I want them to compete, because all it is going to do to make the room better.
Agreed.
Here's the bite. So the press conference was cut very short, but Spencer agreed to talk to a couple of us in the back for a few more minutes. Here is Jay Tuss asking about the injury and making the decision to switch at halftime to Cutforth too.
Able to move the ball and score more points.
Yeah, we got to be balanced. And once again, without watching the film, I got to look at it. But we got to find a way to run the football. We got to pick our shots. We got just to find a way to game. And that's a really talented group, well coached. That means emotional.
A lesser competitor, talking about Maddox, probably when he doesn't even play tonight. How is Maddox doing? What kind of went into that decision at halftime?
It was hard for him. He's, like I said, he loves his team. He was emotional at halftime just because. He wears it because he loves his team. He's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out competitor for this team. He's out hobbling around at practice just to find a way to compete and win. And he tried his absolute best in the first half, and obviously wasn't going our way. We made the change to Max, but even Maddox was great on the sideline, encouraging his team. He wasn't on the side pouting. He loves his team. He's a competitor. Maddox Madsen's our quarterback.
How are you, what's the message to the fans? I mean, 5 losses around here, obviously not. Yeah. Although unfortunately, some seasons it's been happening lately. But overall, just what's your message, I guess, to the frustrated fans and what folks disappointed tonight?
Yeah, I think fans or people always look at some of the negative things. To me, obviously as a coach, I got to find ways for us to grow. What I look at is that these seniors are leaving a place better than they found it. 3 straight conference championships, right? That's the first part of our goal. Now we got to find a way to beat some of these teams, these Power 4 teams, because I believe in our team. I mean, you schedule these games to win, and we will. And we will. We didn't this year, but I know we will. And I'm proud of what our guys were able to do, even through injuries this year, being able to find a way to win a championship game against the Blue. That's hats off to our players. And I know that our team, our staff, our players are very, very focused to make sure game 1 in 2026 that this team's better and that we're on the rise.
Spencer, I know that.
So I want to respond by saying this, and there's a comment, same old cliches and excuses. You got to understand, Spencer Danielson is not coaching Bronco Nation. Bronco Nation's a part of the picture, but he's not here to appease you in the ICCU chat. And so a lot of what Spencer Danielson says, I believe, is going to be, hey, in the public, I'm going to support my guys. I'm going to defend my guys. But you guys have been a part of it. Behind closed doors, he's not afraid to yell at you. He's not afraid to call you out and say, you need to be better if you want to keep your job, right? There's been talk about like, oh, this is a program with no accountability. But when guys mess up, they've gotten suspended. They've gotten kicked off the team. And I think, Mike, you even mentioned that early in your career, I think it was you who was saying you sat down with Spencer and said, like, he was like, hey, if you want to play here, you need to be practicing harder, working harder, like had a real conversation with you. And so when Spencer says the room needs to be better and we're going to compete and we're going to get better, like that's the part of all of what he said, I believe. I think that him saying Maddox is our guy is him defending the guy who's been with this program for 2 years. But if the freshmen come in and are better, I don't think Spencer Danielson's not stupid. We've seen some comments suggesting so. Spencer's not stupid. If Cash Herrera comes in or Jackson Taylor comes in or Max Cutforth takes a leaf this offseason and is balling out, he's not just going to blindly ride with Maddox. And I think we've seen this season, Maddox was the starter because Maddox was the best quarterback.
Yep.
At halftime, people wanted Max Cutforth. Look, the yardage stuff looked better for Cutforth, no doubt, but like he threw 3 bad interceptions as well. Like there's a reason that he's making the decisions he does. And at the end of the day, the decisions he's going to make are with winning in mind. Because he knows this program, his job is judged on wins and losses. So the way I look at it, there's 1 of 2 possibilities. One, yes, he's given cliches, but it's because he's not trying to appease Bronco Nation. He's just trying to defend his guys. And in reality, behind closed doors, it's going to be, hey, we need to be better. We need to evaluate this position. That's what I think. The second is that's actually the case. He's going to start Maddox no matter what, in which case I've got a lot of strong feelings. Go back and check my thoughts on the halftime show. Like, if Maddox is just without a doubt the guy, I don't think you're beating Oregon. I don't think you're winning a CFP game, which is this program's goals. But again, I think his real belief is we're going to figure out how to get the best quarterback play possible, no matter who it is. And it doesn't seem that way, but there's a chance that Maddox Madsen breaks through, develops, hits a new ceiling, and he is the guy to do that. And you don't want to say something like, yeah, Maddox sucked tonight, we don't want him. You can't say that as a head coach. Like, that's not an option. You can't be the guys in the comments saying, you know, Maddox is a 5'9" quarterback. You can't see over his offensive line, and he was horrible tonight. Like, talk about a way to lose the locker room. Like, that's it. So I don't know. That's how I see the comments. But
I will say, guys, I was walking through the tunnel as some of the players were walking off, and Sire Gaines walks through the tunnel, and he's walking up towards the locker room, and he's going, got to get back to work. Time to get back to work. Time to get back to work. I mean, Sire Gaines is already thinking of next year and in this team and moving forward. And I don't know how much you guys have put into the discussion, and I don't want to keep our two guests here much longer. We should let you guys go pretty soon, and me and Nathan can play some more interviews and take over, and we appreciate your time. But in terms of this next season and getting back to work, what do you guys make, just knowing I guess we never know who technically is returning until the portal closes and stuff. But I mean, knowing the underclassmen, knowing these guys that are scheduled to come back next year, 5 losses this year, not the standard, obviously. What's your guys' take on, as former players, just on trying to get back to the quote unquote standard and what the expectations for next season are, and guys like Sire going back to work? And I guess a 2-part question, what with that portal? I mean, I think they could go they need to get an offensive lineman, maybe another receiver, maybe a linebacker. What do you guys see in terms of upgrades to this roster that you'd like to see next year as well?
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it, starting with Sire. You have a really strong young nucleus. This was an older team, no question about it. This team has seen a lot. There were a lot of guys that were here through the 22 and the 23 season and saw a lot of adversity in those 2 years, no question about it. But you had a group of young guys that have really gotten to step up and seen the field this year in particular, including last year as well. They're going to be leading this thing forward. There's definitely going to be questions to be addressed in the portal, and I do believe that they are going to hit the portal. No question. I think they're going to bring in guys that can make an impact tomorrow. No question in my mind, because you're losing a lot. You're losing guys like Matt Lauder. You're losing Marco. You're losing Mason. You're losing a lot of guys that kind of steered this thing in the right direction for a long time. And I think that you're going to have to go get some impact guys, some proven, experienced players that are looking for new scenery that want to come in and build towards a playoff team. And I think having a young nucleus with guys like Sire leading this thing, you can say a lot of things about Sire Gaines. That dude's going to outwork every single person in the building. No question. Not turn this into a Sire Gaines hype show, but he is what he is, and he's going to be what he is because of his mentality.
He's a psycho.
Yeah, he's absolutely a psychopath. I've said that plenty of times, and there's no shame in saying that. Like, he's a different dude. If I had an ounce of his mentality, I would have been a lot better. But I think having guys like that, like young guys with that hungry mentality, they're going to be the ones leading this thing. They got to go push the right buttons in the portal this offseason. And we'll see what happens with this roster, who they're able to retain in terms of the young nucleus. I hope they get to keep everybody and get to add on around them. But you're not losing a ton, but you're losing a lot at the same time in terms of the guys that are leaving. Nathan said that. I stole that quote from you.
Yeah, I think this year, whether it be alumni, guys in the program, Bronco Nation, I think we drew a lot of parallels to the 2023 season, and it played out really similar to this. It was out of nowhere, we end up back in the championship, win the championship, and then lose in the LA Bowl, right? Well, what do we do in 2024, right?
Yeah.
We made a college football playoff appearance. We had a bye into the Fiesta Bowl. Like, believe in what this program's doing and get excited, right? How many times does history need to repeat itself before you think that you don't know everything? So I understand we're frustrated in the moment, but if you think you're frustrated, imagine being on the field and putting everything into it and then walking off that field for some of these, like watching for talking from the perspective of the sire gains and guys returning, seeing those seniors that have bled for this program walk off the field for their last time and not wanting that to be your story, right?
Mhm.
And I have all the faith in the leadership in this program and the players and everyone involved that we have everything it takes, more than everything it takes, to achieve what we've done in previous seasons and then even do more.
And I'll say this, I think Bronco Nation's spoiled, and I say that as an alumni. Like the level this program has achieved, down years or Mountain West Championship years, I've joked multiple times, like UNLV's never won an outright conference championship. Like this year was a down year. It would be UNLV's best season in program history.
Yep.
But you talked about history repeating itself. I want to take you guys back. 2006, Boise State goes 13-0, goes to the 2007 Fiesta Bowl, knocks off Oklahoma. The next year they go 10-3 in the WAC, which was significantly worse than the Mountain West. And then they go 12-1, and then they go 14-0. Like, this is just the ebbs and flows of college football and being a developmental program. You lose a guy like Ashton, you lose a guy like Ahmed Hassaning, but even the guys in between. I mean, you two were key contributors on that team. Shea Oladipo, Cam Camper was an excellent wide receiver. Like, there was a lot that was lost last season. And this was a little bit of a reset year. And the fact that you're still winning conference championships in reset years is a testament to how high the floor is at this program, in my opinion. And I don't think one bad year means that this is now a 9-4 program. You know what happened after that 9-4 season? Or even you can go jump forward to 2015. They go 9-4. And then all of a sudden you kind of have Harsin taking over and you go, 8-5 in 2013. They go to a Fiesta Bowl in 2014, go 12-2, and then 9-4, 10-3, 11-3, 10-3, 12-2. Like, programs typically have ebbs and flows. This was a little bit of a reset year, and your reset year is still a conference championship. So that's history repeats itself. You're right, but you look at the history of Boise State. Like, typically when you have that peak top Fiesta Bowl season, there's a little bit of a come down from it, as you'd expect. There's a lot of good football players on that team, including you two guys right here. So, guys, you've been troopers. We're 11 o'clock right now. We appreciate you guys sticking around. We're going to let you guys go. Any final thoughts from either this game, the LA Bowl, or just the season as a whole? What have you seen? What are your thoughts from what we've had so far?
I think you said it best. Even in a down year, winning the Mountain West Championship. Proud of this group. Season didn't go the way they wanted it to. You got a very solid young nucleus coming back next year. Keep them at all costs, push the right buttons around them, add the right people, go make a run for the playoff next year.
Yeah, I kind of, Nathan, to address a little bit of the point before BJ talked about coming into next year, I think Coach Danielson gets a lot of criticism for being so positive, right, to the media or to Bronco Nation, and they question whether or not he's hard enough on his players. Well, I want to draw kind of a real life comparison to, say you work for, let's say you work for Peterson Toyota, right? And the general manager's walking around talking about.
Let's go Lithia Ford. How about that? One of our sponsors.
Lithia Ford. My family's a Toyota business, so I got to show.
All good.
All right.
You work for Sun Cruiser.
Right. Lithia Ford and Walla Walla Toyota. How about that?
There you go. We'll count that.
Okay. But is that a guy you want to work for? If he's running around talking about this guy's just not doing a good enough job, he's just not meeting the standard. He's not what we want here. He doesn't help the dealership. Or do you want the guy who you work for, who's telling you those points, but he's going to bat for you when he's talking outside of the dealership, outside of the workforce? We can, like, anyone watching this show can talk about, you want to play, you want to work, you want to be coached, whatever it may be. You want to be under the leadership of a guy who's absolutely going to bat. He's going to be hard on you, but it's from a personal standpoint. When it comes to talking to other people whose opinions might not necessarily matter, like they're not just you don't air out your dirty laundry, right? So trust that Coach Danielson is, and we've both been on that side of it. He's going to be hard. He's going to coach these guys hard. Yeah. The expectations are very high, as they should be, and I promise you that this program is going the right direction, as frustrated as you might seem, and you just believe as a program, believe as a community, and we'll be back where we expect ourselves to be.
Well, I appreciate both of you guys. Nathan, appreciate you, and Kanan as well. We'll just let all you guys go. I can take it from here. It's been a long day for you, Nathan, doing pregame, watching the game, postgame. So appreciate all you guys doing this. Hope you guys have a great holidays, and definitely Tubes and Michael would love to keep you guys in the mix while you're still around town for the spring or whenever there might be future stuff. You guys both do a tremendous job, and I know you have a tough line to draw. You got friends that are on the team also, and obviously you're in coaches you played for, so you're not going to come on here and just rip them. But obviously the fans aren't dumb, and I think you guys are kind of honest in your assessment of what you're saying at times. So I appreciate you for trying to skirt that line a little bit, and we appreciate you guys for doing this, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, BJ. Go Broncos.
Nathan, BJ, thanks, guys.
There they are. We appreciate those guys for jumping on. Great stuff from them and Nathan, Carroll, and everybody. I got plenty of post-game interviews that I can play. Lots of stuff that we can get to. I got nowhere to go. We're here in the press box. They're getting turned over for the LA Rams game tomorrow, but I'll keep this, guys, as long as you guys want to go. But first, let's go to a teary and again, there is a lot to get to with the Cage Casey thing, because I thought some of those comments were pretty eye-opening from Matt Lauder and from Spencer, but particularly Lauder did not seem too happy about the situation and didn't want to answer the question. So we can get into that. We got a lot still to get to when it comes to the Cage Casey situation, the quarterback situation. He says Maddox Madsen's our guy. What does that mean for next year? A lot to get to, but let's hear from Marco Notriani and Matt Lauder sitting down with the media after the game. You may need to turn your mic up, your speakers up just a little bit as well. This is a little bit lower than I'm probably talking now, but here's a couple minutes of emotional Marco Notriani and Matt Lauder.
Guys, we can see it in your face, but just what are the emotions like right now walking off the field? And I know you guys expected it to go differently today.
Yeah, just sharing this field the last time with this team is something special, and I've been sharing the field with Lauder since high school, and knowing this is our last game together is painful and tough to deal with, but it's just been an honor being a part of all the seniors in the senior class, seeing how much we've grown over the last 4 or 5 years or however long we've been here. But that's kind of been our main focus in the locker room and kind of how we're feeling.
Special group of guys. It's tough, hard loss like that. Need the team to, operate in all areas to win like that, and I trust in, Coach D and the younger guys to, get that fixed for next year, and I'm excited to see, what Boise State's going to do.
You guys had them 3-3 there, 5 minutes or so left in the second quarter. Just what kind of changed after that, Marco, that miscommunication, whatever, on the wide open play for the touchdown, and then obviously that kind of opened the floodgates there late in the second quarter?
We gave them a lot of free opportunity to make plays when we were operating as a defense and communicating well and getting a line and not doing somebody else's job. I felt like we were shutting them down and they had no answers, but that's the game of football. You make a mistake as a defense and they throw one over the top. We had 21 unanswered points, and as a defense, we can't let that happen. Obviously, scoreboard showed that couldn't hold them to less points than our offense could score. So as a defense, we got to hold that on our shoulder and play better and operate better.
Obviously, emotions are running high, and we'll never understand what Boise State's brotherhood is really like. Can you kind of give us a glimpse of why this place has been so good to you and what it means to you?
Just the consistency to never give up. I had a lot of growing up to do as a freshman coming in. I know Lauder did too, and all the guys in the senior class had a lot of growing up to do, and as a person, as an academic, as an athlete, and for the university, the leaders, the brotherhood, the guys we came in with, to just consistently build into each other and forgive each other and really grow together is just nothing I'll probably ever experience again. And so Yeah, it's just special. I mean, that's my best way of describing it. But every single person that has ever left this program that I've been super close with, and it's just been an honor to share the field with them and get to know them as a person from such diverse backgrounds.
Kenneth Berry, touchdowns and tangents. You guys have, a guy like Chris Marshall. He comes in, to redeem himself, gets ingratiated with the team, and he was out there battling until the very end. When you see guys, who have a chance to come back and they're still fighting, like, what kind of hope does that give you for the future?
Yeah, I'll answer that. I think it's cool, for the offense to see a guy like Chris, obviously coming in here. A lot of high, expectations for him, but his mind really wasn't in the right spot. And to be honest with you, Coach D in this program changed him. So it's cool to see him not actually lose it and get back on the field and go make a play, which is cool. And then after the game, dapping up guys in the locker room, just saying, I love you. So, I mean, back to your question, like, that's what Boise State does, man. It changes lives for sure. And as an offense, I'm excited to, see them grow and what's going to happen next year. I'm fired up for them.
J-Test Bronco Studios, Matt, for you, you leave Boise State as one of the most productive tight ends in school history. What does that mean to you, and then what did it also mean? I know the outcome not what you wanted, but to get in the end zone one more time there at the end.
Yeah, so grateful for Potter and calling a screen pass to me on the last play of my career. That was cool. Getting in the paint's always fun, and after the game, to piggyback off what you said at first, I think it's cool because all the other tight ends look up to me, and we got Wagner and a few other guys in that room who are going to be special too, and they're going to take over the role. And
There's Matt Lauder, I long story, but you saw the players were there first, and then I ran out of memory on my phone when I was recording the interview, and then by the time I got it going, Spencer was talking. They only gave us 4 minutes with Spencer Danielson, by the way, in the main presser, and kudos to Spencer. We asked afterwards if he'd give us a few more minutes, and he was willing to do that, so we got another 6 minutes afterwards. We've been playing a couple of those bites. I can play some more of those here in a minute, but you can see the emotions on their face. What this meant to them ending their career this way. And obviously, by the way, somebody was talking about spotting the ball. I thought that as well. I thought for some reason they were like a yard and a half short every time Boise State would go down. I thought that they were I did think it was weird. They were spotting the ball short. I actually thought that and said that to somebody in the press box. I'm not saying that's why they lost the game, but there were some weird spots going on in the first quarter on some of those plays. But Maddox Matson, guys, completed 7 passes in this game, 7 of 16 for just 51 yards, 2 interceptions, both interceptions. I mean, the first one just didn't see the guy drop back into coverage, but the second interception was, be honest, one of the worst thrown balls I've seen all season by any quarterback. I mean, he just dropped back, and I just don't know what he was looking at. Just kind of heaved it into no man's land. It was a poor throw, but an even worse decision in that spot. Just throw it out of bounds. I mean, heck, take the sack. I just didn't think the second interception, there was just nothing good about it in any way. I mean, it was a bad decision. And like I said, an even worse throw, just kind of lobbing it up there. And that really changed the complexion of this game. I mean, I got my notes here and I'll try to get them out as we're talking here. But in that situation, it just allowed them to score again late in the half. And, it was 17-3 at that point. It's at least manageable. And after the interception there, they scored in 22 seconds to make it 24-3. And that kind of put the game out of reach. And so I know there's a lot of polarizing thoughts on Maddox Madsen. But I've defended him at times. I haven't at times, but I will just say those were that was a throw you cannot make in that situation. It was a terrible throw, a terrible decision. And it was one that really hurt him because he just kind of threw it in no man's land. Like I said, 22 seconds later, they get the touchdown, and it's 24-3. But the game obviously changed. Boise State's defense was hanging tough, got a couple 3-and-outs. And then Boston, their potential first-round pick somehow gets wide open, nobody within 30 yards of them, and they get the broken play for the 78-yard touchdown, I believe it was, and that kind of opened the floodgates. Boise State's driving back down the field. They've got 4th and 1 with about 5 minutes to go in the half, and it's a long one. It was almost 2, but I think they called it 1. And at that point, they elected to do a pass. and nobody was open. So Madsen tries to scramble, and his tackle is short, and they don't get it. And that pretty much changed the game right there. 4:49 to go. You're only down 7, but you let Washington come down on another easy touchdown drive to make it 17-3. Then we mentioned the pick, another touchdown drive. Just like that, it's 24-3. And they actually got the ball back again with a chance to add even more points there late. And then obviously on the first drive of the third quarter, they score again. It's 31-3, and that's all she wrote on that one. So, early in the game, Boise State gets the 52-yard field goal, a 15-play drive for Washington. You hold them there to a field goal, and then, like I said, you get a couple nice stops from the defense, and you're thinking, okay, maybe they're going to be hanging around here. But it changed. And it changed in a hurry. And quarterback play tonight was not good. Was it 5 turnovers, I think, total? 5 interceptions, and then I think they were stopped on 4th down twice. I know those don't technically count as turnovers, but 5 turnovers for Boise State today. You had Maddox Madsen throwing 2 interceptions, Max Cutforth throwing 3 interceptions. Cutforth did go 15 of 27, 202 yards for a touchdown, but again, 3 interceptions from Max Cutforth in this one. I'm not really going to say who played better in this game, and does that person deserve to start next season. It's obviously not, there's different situations when Cutforth was throwing. He made some nice throws at times, but a lot of it was run after the catch type stuff. And, I'm not saying, Madsen's better, Cutforth's better. I just think that it's hard to evaluate in the second half when it's a different quarterback playing, when it's 31-3, because the defense is playing things a little differently. You're trying to throw the ball more. I just don't think it's apples to apples, the first half to the second half. Again, he did throw for 202 yards and a touchdown, but 3 interceptions. Madsen was in a boot in the second half. Spencer, you're going to hear talk about him trying to get out there and even play. But it just it wasn't meant to be today, and I hate to say it, but if you listen to Ball Talk this morning, I said I had a feeling they might get blown out. I was a little worried about this game. The Cage Casey thing just gave me a bad vibe, and as you've heard the players say, and I can play it again at some point, it certainly was. It certainly seems like that was the case. Obviously, Matt Lauder looked to have a problem about it. Spencer Danielson didn't want to talk about it. I think you can read between the lines there that your team captain opting out is one thing, not even being at the game, I think, is another. And that's not why they lost. Certainly not why they threw 5 interceptions. But it just had a weird vibe going into the game with him not being there. And this was a really good Washington team. I know they were 8-4, but you look at their talent, their high-end talent on both sides of the ball, the teams that they had played. I thought this was a little scary game for Boise State. And I'm not saying that is an excuse. They were supposed to lose by 10. They got blown out. Who cares? No, I think that, 0-10, 10 in a row. They've now lost to Power 4 teams. So I certainly think that's something that has to be addressed at some point. And you play another one to start next season in Oregon. So not making excuses. They were 10-point underdogs. They were, pretty much supposed to lose tonight. And I didn't think it'd be close, and it wasn't close. But that doesn't, change things that, you get blown out on national TV. Another not great look for the program. All eyes on Boise State. A chance to make a statement, a chance to prove that they're that underdog that can still win these big games. And they laid an egg. They laid a massive egg on national television tonight, and it was a sore look for the program. 5 losses, another season in this. You take out last year, obviously going to the playoff, but it's been a lot of 4 and 5 and some 5-loss seasons here, going back to the last couple of years of the Avalos era. I mean, we're just in a 7-8 year period here that we're not used to seeing around Boise State in a long time. And so last year was great. You would have liked to have seen them back it up with another season like last year, but to have it, follow up last year with a 5-loss season this year, it's disappointing. And I know that obviously you win the Mountain West Championship 3 in a row on the way out, and that's great and kind of a miracle run to even get in that game, but to lay an egg on national TV. And like I said, I expected them to lose. I thought they'd lose. I wasn't really sure it'd be close. But that doesn't make it okay or excuse anything for it. It was a bad look on a national stage, which is becoming all too common for this program. And so Boise State's going to have to find a way to do whatever it takes to get over that hump. And they do have some massive areas they need to address in the transfer portal. I think they've got to go find at least one starting offensive lineman in the portal. I think they've got to go find a veteran at wide receiver in the portal. I think that, linebacker is a position. Marco Notriani played great today, and he's gone. I know Bowen Phelps is back, and they've got some young guys they like, but I think you need to go find a linebacker in the portal. You lose pretty much your secondary And I know that there's a ruling that may come down that may give an extra year of eligibility to a couple of these guys, but right now you have to just assume they're all gone. And you lose Jeremiah Irby, you lose Zion Washington, Marion McCoy. There's Ty Benefield has a big decision to make. There's going to be a lot of this team's going to look a lot different next year. And so I think they've got to go address the portal, and they've got to find a way to spend some money and find some key impact players at some key spots for this team moving forward here. So let's hear a little more from Spencer Danielson. Again, this is him when he sat down. It was kind of right in the middle of my I lost memory for a minute and had to fix it, and so it's right in the middle. This is the full kind of 4 or 5 minutes here with the players and Spencer. And I think we played this earlier part of this, but it does address the Cage Casey situation as well as Maddox Madsen's future. This is some more post game.
You got to do the right things, and even when the right thing is hard to do. And I know Sire obviously is going to do a good job carrying that torch, and so are a lot of other guys that I can talk about that are going to do the same thing.
Canterbury touchdowns and tangents. Coach Danielson, great season despite the loss. So just in regards to the quarterback play tonight, will you take any consideration into maybe looking into options in the portal for the offseason? And as far as just this being your last game in the Mountain West, what kind of lasting memories, remarks, people that have impacted you, what do they mean to you kind of just wrapping up the season?
Yeah, first off, Maddox Madsen's a warrior, and he's battled through injury all season from game 3 to now, and even you see him even pregame, and he's just trying to fight and scratch to get out there and do his job. I would say a less competitor wouldn't have even tried to play in the game, wouldn't have even tried to play in the championship game. But Maddox Madsen's an elite competitor, and that's our quarterback. And we believe in Max Cutforth, and he came in and did some good things. Obviously, we did not play well enough tonight, and don't take my answer as if I feel like we did. But I think the easy answer is always, well, you should go to the portal. No, I believe in our quarterbacks. I believe in Maddox. I believe in Max Cutforth.
Mark, just with your offensive line, you lose Cage with opting out. McToy is injured. Carrion gets injured. Just how more difficult did that make it for you guys? Does it change how it was working out there?
It doesn't really change anything. We're going to stick to our process. But yeah, we got to have tight ends be in there to help chip and help slow those ends down. Obviously, we don't have Cage, and that's frustrating, but. We got to move on from it, and we did, and we went out there, and we played our hearts out, and it just didn't go our way.
I guess just with you saying Cage, I know close, obviously, but just with him opting out, from a leadership perspective and how he plays, just how much more difficult was that without him?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Jason, right in front of you, Coach. Jason Burrell, South Bay Black Journal. Resilience and effort, Coach. You guys always fight to the end. What happened in the second quarter in the secondary? Was Zion looked like he thought he had some help, and then Washington was able to put some points on the board?
Yeah, we were playing good defense, and the biggest part of playing elite defense is eliminating explosive plays. And our defense battled tonight. Proud of a lot of the things they did, but that first touchdown was just a blown coverage. We were in a too high shell, and we just didn't play the technique, and that turns into big-time explosive play.
Right, last question.
Yep. Spencer, kind of a two-parter. With Cage not even being here as a team captain, I don't know how that went down or what you can say, but did that have any impact on the morale of the team or anything, not having a captain here tonight? And you mentioned the quarterback play of Maddox. Is he your starter going into next season? Is that an open competition? How do you look at the quarterback position going forward?
Yeah, I respect your question in regards to Cage, but we were focused on our team that was playing the game. And they had a great week of prep, and obviously it didn't go well tonight, and I take full responsibility to look at why, but our guys freaking prepped their tails off and went out there and battled. We got to be better, and I'm going to pretty much leave the question at that, B.J. And in regards to Maddox, that's our quarterback. And do we need to get better? Do we need to improve? Are we going to compete? All yes, but I'm unwavering in the fact that I believe in Maddox Madsen. I believe in our quarterbacks. We need to improve, and we're going to. We got 2 really good freshmen coming in. I'm excited to see them continue to come in and elevate the room. But I love our quarterbacks, and we just got to be better than we were tonight.
Sorry, this is the last question.
Coach, now that it's all said and done, headed into the offseason, what did you learn about your squad tonight in a tough matchup against a Power 4 program?
Yep. Yeah, first off, I mean, I'm just so proud of these seniors. They are leaving Boise State better than they found it. 3 straight conference champions. I don't know how many teams in the country can say that. They've been through a head coaching change. Some of them have been through COVID. They've been counted out. They've held trophies. They've been booed off the field and continue to come back swinging. And the best is still to come for our seniors in life, and this is always home. And they are leaving this place better than they found it. That's when I think about this team. I think about a team that loves each other and will find a way to push through adversity because they're a resilient group, right? We talk about built different program. That's building champions on and off the field. But to build someone, they got to want to change. They got to want to grow, and that's player driven. And our players, our leaders, too, are sitting by me right now that push that standard forward, and they've left it better. I believe the foundation is in a great place. We obviously got a lot of work to do, and we're going to get to work. But I'm proud of what our seniors have done. I'm proud of the foundation. I truly believe the best is still to come for our football team, and I know God's hands on it.
Okay, there's Spencer Danielson, Matt Lauder, and Marco Nociani meeting with the media postgame. I do have 6 more minutes of Spencer Danielson. We dive into some more specifics on the game. We can play that if you guys want to hear it. This is the we'll take some more comments. We're not in a huge hurry to get out of here until they kick us out of the press box. But do want to thank a couple sponsors real quick. Sun Cruiser, iced tea, vodka, no carbonation, low carb, low calorie, 4.5 alcohol. I love the lemonade vodkas they have as well. Strawberry lemonade is my favorite. Check out Sun Cruiser, our studio sponsor. And during the month of December, if you send us a social media post of yourself having a Sun Cruiser, we'll make sure we enter you in a drawing to win some cool prizes from Sun Cruiser. Hey, thanks to rowpaint.com. 20% off your winter painting project with our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Check them out, roepaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, iccu.com. They got 7 student athletes there on NIL deals. You see their logo now back in as a sponsor at Boise State. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking right there from your smartphone. Check them out at Idaho Central Credit Union, iccu.com. Taco Bell, perfect time. They're still open. They're open late. Get on out to Taco Bell tonight if you're still hungry and looking for that extra meal, whether it's the new crispy chicken strips, the cheesy gordita crunch, all the great options at Taco Bell. And don't forget about their breakfast. They got that crunchy quesadillas, the Crunch Wrap Supremes, all the great breakfast options. Of course, the slushies and Baja Freeze, Mountain Dew Blast and things as well. TacoBellWorks.com. And again, visit a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. I know Matt Lauder and Latrell Caples did not get in the end zone, but they are going to honor this deal at Jacksons on Monday. 49-cent fountain drink on Monday at Jacksons, no matter what. They're giving it to honor Latrell Caples for his career. A 49-cent fountain drink on Monday. 49 cents using your Let's Go Rewards app. You can get a large, any size fountain drink, 49 cents. From our friends at Jacksons. Make sure you check that out on Monday. They've also got the 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night at Jacksons. Hey, now we turn our attention to basketball season. I will hopefully make it to Idaho Falls tomorrow in time for the game against St. Mary's. So busy and quick next 24 hours for Bronco Nation News as we try to get to the airport and get to Idaho Falls in time for the game tomorrow. But if you're looking for some new gear for basketball season, the Blue and Orange Store has you covered. TheBlueandOrangeStore.com. Check them out, TheBlueandOrangeStore.com. Boise Town Square Mall location, the new location there at the Boise State Hall of Fame. Or, of course, you can order anywhere in the world online at TheBlueandOrangeStore.com. Again, we're going to hear some more from Spencer Danielson. We'll continue to take your comments as well, but don't forget, Lithia Ford of Boise, that all-wheel drive sale is going on right now at Lithia Ford of Boise. You get a new 2025 Ford F-150, an Escape, an Explorer, a Mach-E, Lightning, or Transit van, 0% APR for 60 months and 0 down. The Raines family is loving our F-150 from Lithia Ford of Boise, and you can as well. LithiaFordBoise.com. View that full inventory of vehicles at Lithia Ford of Boise at LithiaFordBoise.com. We are back here live at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. We're in the press box where Boise State falls 38-10 to have their season end with a 9-5 record. The Broncos Mountain West Championship victors. They're going to get a ring. 3-time Mountain West champions, but they fall for the second time in 3 years in the LA Bowl, and they do it in in really bad fashion tonight, borderline kind of embarrassing fashion, 38-10. Tough night for the Broncos, just ran into a better team, and they did not play well, and they showed that they have some major positions and issues and things that they're going to have to address in the offseason. And it is going to be quite the offseason for the Boise State football team to see how they try to address this roster. Do they make any changes to the coaching staff? A lot of questions surrounding this team. And do they try to, in the past, it's been a lot of using the money on the players they have and trying to keep them. And is that the case? Or do they try to go out and spend some money to bring in some key players? Because I really think they need at least one starter out of the portal at the offensive line. I think you have to find a starter at the offensive line in the portal. And that's nothing against the guys they have. They're just losing a lot. I think receiver, they could use an upgrade. I know they like some of the young guys that are there. I really do think linebacker, the secondary, I mean, you can go across the board. They need a major infusion of talent. And you've heard Mike Prater say that. He's not really worried about keeping all the players they have. He wants to see some turnover and see some new guys come in. And I think at some key spots, you certainly want to see them go add some guys. And I don't know. I don't know what, the situation is going to be at quarterback. It sounds like they're happy with what they have, and that's going to be a storyline and a topic for the next 8 months, no doubt. But I do think at pretty much every position, you're going to find a way to upgrade this roster. And who else leaves? Does Ty Benefield come back? And I played a video earlier in the show of an emotional Ty Benefield after the game, and I'll try to find that again here. But an emotional Ty Benefield kind of standing on the field, soaking all of this in. Is this the last time Ty Benefield is on a field in a Boise State uniform? Does Ty Benefield decide to move on to the next level here? What does Ty Benefield do? And it was a pretty emotional moment for him. You see him. He's with Mark Miller there, a big booster, has a son on the team also, and he's getting emotional. He has a long embrace coming up here with Jeremiah Dickey, the athletic director, as well. But that young man has a tough decision to make. Does he come back and play another year in college, or does he move on to the NFL? And is he content being a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick, or does he want to come back and try to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick? I don't know, but this is going to be a decision that Ty Benefield's going to have to make. I would assume he'll declare and then pull his name back out, but he's a big guy that you want to try to keep. But also, can you pay him to come back and keep him, or does somebody in the SEC offer him triple what you can pay him and he decides to go? By the way, did anybody see Andrew Simpson? I posted this video while they were talking about it. I don't know if anybody noticed it or not, but Andrew Simpson was in the crowd and wearing a Boise State sweatshirt tonight. I'll see if I can kind of find this. Very odd. I'm just looking through the crowd and I'm like, is that Andrew Simpson? And sure enough, it was. Let's see if I can find. Here's Boise State players, and they're talking to some fans and looking up, and then I kind of notice over here to the right. In a second, I'm going to kind of angle up the camera, and there's Andrew Simpson right there, former Boise State linebacker, here at the game, supporting his friends, supporting his old teammates. But if Andrew Simpson had stayed on this team, what difference would it have made at linebacker if they still had an Andrew Simpson? He obviously lives in the area back home, but supporting his old friends, supporting his old teammates, that part is pretty cool to see that he made the trip out here. But that certainly is one of the many layers to this season not going the way you thought it was, and nobody expected him to leave, and that wasn't until the middle of spring ball that he decided to leave. And I know the transfer portal is different now. This window is one-time window from January 2nd to 15th, I think it is. But, does anybody else unexpected leave? And maybe you guys can get your list in right now. But, who are the 5 players Boise State cannot afford to lose next season? Or how deep does your list go? How deep is your list of players Boise State has to keep? And then where do you draw that list in terms of if guys want to leave, or where they should focus on upgrading the talent or keeping keeping guys? And like I said, they're going to have to decide if they want to keep their Bronco Pro money and their NIL money on players that are here, or if they want to break from their tradition and spend more money on other players outside the program to bring them in to kind of infuse some new talent into the program here. So they're going to certainly have to make that decision here moving forward. But BSU Bill says keep Gaines, Riley, Jaden Virgin Morgan, and Benefield. Everybody else is expendable. Your mama says Dylan Riley is the only one. Can't lose the 2 running backs, somebody said. Players to keep: Riley, Steele, Madsen, Wagner, Gaines, Brown, Smith, Jaden Virgin Morgan. I guess it kind of says where we're at, that the list is only 5, 6, 7 players. I agree that Matt Wagner, I think, has a chance to be a star here. You definitely want to keep both running backs. I think Dylan Riley and Gaines is a nice area to build around. Roger Carrion is going to be an interesting guy. I believe he has a year left. I believe he's a redshirt junior. I think Roger Carrion has another year now. I'm forgetting this. But that offensive line is going to look a lot different next year. And there's some guys you want to keep, but I think there's some positions that need major upgrades from a talent perspective. But let's hear a little more from Spencer Danielson. Again, the bull cut him off after about 4 minutes, but he was nice enough to, as we hit the 2-hour mark on this live stream, we're almost at 3,000 viewers. We still have 200 of you watching live on YouTube, many others on Facebook and X, and we appreciate all you guys for being here and checking us out. And hopefully you're all paid subscribers at Bronco Nation News. 50% off right now, by the way, to get an annual subscription, just $5 a month. If you want to jump on board as we get into the portal season, we'll have all kinds of coverage. There are portal trackers up online. We'll have plenty of football coverage, but also diving into basketball as well in terms of coverage of that team moving forward here. So tons of stuff to get to the next several months, and hopefully you'll jump on board and subscribe. $5 a month, one-time fee of $60 at BroncoNationNews.com. But the bull cut him off after about 4 minutes, and then he was nice enough to give a couple of us more time in the back room. So here is, I think it was Jay Tust, Sean Goodwin from the Statesman, and myself were the ones that he talked to a little bit more afterwards. So here is a little bit more from Spencer Danielson after the game.
How do you kind of, obviously a big swing there to end the half?
Yeah, I mean, we knew going into this game that this game was going to come down to 6 or 7 plays, right? And the blown coverage on the 70-yard touchdown, whatever, we were playing solid defense at that point. I mean, it's 3-3, back and forth. And that was a big play. Then when you don't execute on 4th and 1, which is a DNA down and distance for us to execute, I mean, we're very seldom am I not going to go for it on 4th and 1. I mean, we believe in 1 yard, we're going to find a way to get it. And we didn't. And we didn't execute in those moments. Missed some tackles in some of these drives. I mean, whenever you have 5 turnovers in a game, you're not going to win. I don't care who you're playing. So proud of our guys battling. Even on the sideline at halftime when things are not going well, we're still down 21 points. The boys didn't flinch. Our seniors did a great job leading, but disappointed in the outcome. And these are obviously those games that set a really good parameter of who you are, right? There's some personnel things we got to look at to see where do we get better. And obviously, we're going to watch the film. We're going to think even coaching-wise, how do we grow? Where do we got to improve to? Because we're not okay with losing these games. It's not like, well, we won our conference and we're just going to go shoot our shot in a bowl game. No, you come to Boise State to win these football games, and it's not okay that we didn't. And no one's going to carry that more than me, and I'm excited to be better.
You kind of said it best by saying you come to Boise State to win these games.
Yep.
And Boise State was known as the giant killers for years.
Yep.
And you guys haven't beat a P4 since 2019. Just what do you think's missing?
Yeah, I got to look at it. Got to continue to look at it. Obviously, tonight there's a lot of things that was missed. We didn't execute enough in all 3 phases to find a way to win. But it's on me. At the end of the day, our team goes as how I go. And going to this game, we had more than enough to win. We didn't win. There's no excuses, and that's on me. And I'm going to look at it holistically to make sure that we continue to grow so we can.
Offensively, I mean, you obviously struggled to run the ball. I mean, I know there were a lot of turnovers. What was the biggest issue offensively and just not being able to move the ball and score more points?
Yeah, we got to be balanced. And once again, without watching the film, I got to look at it. But we got to find a way to run the football. We got to pick our shots. We got to take care of the football. We didn't do really any of those consistently. We weren't explosive offensively. A lot of that came down to some of the protection. And so we got to be better. We got to make better decisions at quarterback. There's some interceptions in there that are tough. Then there's some that just cannot happen. And so we got to look at that. We got to make sure we don't give up some of those explosive plays on defense, because I believe we have the type of defense that if it turns out to be a 10-3 game, we can find a way to win that game. And we did tonight. So it's all 3 phases. And it's not going to be one position, one coach. We got to be better. Once again, we had every right to win this football game. And that's a really talented group, well coached, that we went against tonight. But we got to find a way to win those football games, and I know we had enough. We just didn't play well enough, and that's on me.
Spencer, you said that a lesser competitor, talking about Maddox, probably when he doesn't even play tonight. How is Maddox doing, and what kind of went into that decision at halftime?
It was hard for him. He's like I said, he loves this team. He was emotional at halftime just because he wears it because he loves this team. He's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out competitor for this team. I mean, he's out hobbling around at practice just to find a way to compete and win. And he tried his absolute best in the first half, and obviously wasn't going our way. We made the change to Max, but even Maddox was great on the sideline, encouraging his team. He wasn't on the side pouting. He loves his team. He's a competitor. Maddox Madsen's our quarterback.
How are you, what's the message to the fans? I mean, 5 losses around here, obviously not. Yeah. Although unfortunately, some seasons it's been happening lately. But overall, just what's your message, I guess, to the frustrated fans and what folks disappointed tonight?
Yeah, I think fans or people always look at some of the negative things. To me, obviously as a coach, I got to find ways for us to grow. What I look at is that these seniors are leaving a place better than they found it. 3 straight conference championships, right? That's the first part of our goal. Now we got to find a way to beat some of these teams, these Power 4 teams, because I believe in our team. I mean, you schedule these games to win, and we will. And we will. We haven't. We didn't this year, but I know we will. And I'm proud of what our guys were able to do, even through injuries this year, being able to find a way to win a championship game against the Blue. That's hats off to our players. And I know that our team, our staff, our players are very, very focused to make sure game 1 in 2026 that this team's better and that we're on the rise.
Spencer, I know that you're more of a guy that's I think we call it a solution finder or whatever you say, and that maybe not focus on the obstacles. But when we look at this program, maybe when they did beat Power 4 teams 10 years ago, how different is college football than maybe it was then, and how much harder is it to half these teams are trying to take, your star players at times probably. So how much harder is it to figure out a way to beat these guys?
I mean, the landscape of college football is very, very different than it was in 2010, right? I'm not the first to say that, it just is. But at the end of the day, I believe we still have enough to go out there and win. And once again, I don't say that to have coach speech. I look at our team and I know that I look at Washington's team, they got a very talented team, they have all these things. Do they have more money than us? They do. But that's not what won tonight. What won tonight is they executed better than Boise State did. Hats off to Washington. We got to be better. And so, yes, I do want our fan base to always understand the changing landscape of college football. We need all hands on deck to raise money, to find ways to continue to push. No question. And then it's my responsibility to make sure that our players grow, our coaching staff grows, to make sure that we put a product on the field that Bronco Nation is going to be proud of, and I know we will.
Spencer, just similar to what I asked Matt, with the run game struggling and how against the quarterback, and what happened with Cage, and then you lose Dale and Matoya, and Rodcheck goes out in the second drive. How much do you think that impacted the game going forward?
Yeah, we had 3 starting O-linemen out in this game, which is never going to help you, right? But I love how our guys stepped up. Jake Steele stepped up, and we put Carson Rasmussen in there for a little bit. So our guys stepped up. Jason Steele's played a lot of football. He comes in the game. So whenever you're out 3 offensive linemen, it's definitely not going to help you. But our offensive line battled tonight, and we'll learn from it.
All right, there he is, Spencer Danielson, meeting with the media after the game. By the way, what do you think of this little LA bullpen here? I like that. They gave that to us here, so I figured why not put it on here. So, tough season comes to an end. Somebody asked what was in the cup. It's unfortunately just Diet Coke. I wish there was something else in it. Believe me, it's been a long season and a long night, but not to be. It's good old Diet Coke tonight. But we're gonna have all next week to talk about this, all off season to talk about this. But certainly, it's obvious that some changes are needed, and we'll see what they decide to do. Is there any changes to the coaching staff? Is there any changes to the core of this roster? I think that there's this is a transition period here. 5 losses, you lose a lot of key players on this team, a lot of key seniors, and I'm very curious to see what this roster looks like moving forward. So tough loss, not good. National TV, basically embarrassing yourself. It was not a good look for the program, and a lot of questions about this roster moving forward. And obviously quarterback will be at the top of the list. But uglier jacket. Come on here. I think this is a snazzy looking jacket here. Come on. This is it's a nice looking jacket here. Come on. As I said, I've worn this 2 times. One was for Ashton Genty at the NFL draft, and now I figured I'd wear it tonight, but we probably won't be busting it out for a while now here. But it is 10:45 here in LA. I've still got like 3 stories to write. I haven't even touched the website yet, so it's going to be a long night / early morning. And then, I've got a flight before 7 a.m. out of LAX to get to Salt Lake City. And then I'm renting a car and driving 3 hours to Idaho Falls. And then we're covering the game in Idaho Falls. And then pregame show, game, postgame show, and then driving 4 hours back to Boise, probably getting back somewhere around 1 a.m. or so. So going to be a super long day tomorrow, but you know what? That's what Bronco Nation News is here for. Going to try to give you guys the coverage you deserve, and if that means it's physically possible for me to be in Idaho Falls, we're going to find a way to get to Idaho Falls and cover that game tomorrow. So massive game for the basketball team, and it's a big-time opportunity tomorrow against St. Mary's. Bummer the game's not on TV. There's going to be some in-house web stream on the broncosports.com website, but it's not on general TV. They may put it on YouTube. I don't know, but check broncosports.com. I'll try to get you more information on that tomorrow. But the game was not picked up for TV. No networks wanted to compete with the NFL. And the result is not even Mountain West Network. I mean, it's going to be like the couple cameras that they have for like the in-house arena that they're just going to try to somehow stream and get online, I believe. So they're going to do the best they can. There's going to be some sort of video stream, but Bob and Abe on the radio might be your only spot at this point to hear the game tomorrow. But assuming my flight is safe and gets in on time, and assume the roads are okay and the rental car's all right, we will be in Idaho Falls in time for a 3:00 pregame show. 3:00 Mountain Time. We will go live from Idaho Falls. We'll show you the sights and sounds. We'll have Abe Jackson. We'll have all kinds of interviews and things to get you ready for the game. Then we'll have the game coverage, and then we'll have a live post-game show as well to break the game down as well. So excited. Not going to lie, excited for a break. We're going to have the basketball game tomorrow, a couple days next week back in Boise, and then my brother-in-law is getting married in Kansas City next weekend, and then my family's going to St. Louis for Christmas for a couple days. So we're going to take about a week off from next Friday to the following Monday. So I guess like 10 days off of no BNN coverage. We've got wedding, Christmas, and then we'll be back getting you set for the New Mexico basketball game. Nathan Carroll will be doing pregame and postgame for the Nevada game next weekend, but I will not be covering the Nevada game. I'll be at my brother-in-law's wedding next weekend. So it has been a long, taxing season when you talk about all the road trips and going to the Maui Invitational. It's just been a lot of flights and a lot of travel, and it has been a long season. I'm not going to lie. But I am pushing forward and pushing on, and we're going to try to see if we can cover a win tomorrow in Idaho Falls. I'll tell you what, if the basketball team wins tomorrow, they're going to pick up some. I think the momentum will build for them moving forward, because a lot of you guys are frustrated with football. You're frustrated with the losing a 5th game in football and stuff like that. But I think if the basketball team finds a way to beat St. Mary's tomorrow, a lot of the common fans that are going to buy back into this basketball team. It is a massive game, and I don't know if you can ever make up for the Hawaii Pacific loss, but guys, I saw today Joe Lenardi, he has Boise State as the second team out. The second team out. They're 2 spots away from being in the NCAA tournament right now, and it's before the St. Mary's game tomorrow. So if they find a way to beat St. Mary's tomorrow, I think they'll be in the tournament in Joe Lenardi's eyes, and so they will have held serve and honestly maybe improve their spot, because I don't think when the season started, Joe Lenardi had them in. So, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, you lose to Hawaii Pacific, but it's a net positive. I think that Joe Lenardi would have them in the tournament if they beat St. Mary's, and that would be crazy to think about losing to Hawaii Pacific. So many people saying the season was over, and here they are going into conference play in Joe Lenardi's eyes in the NCAA tournament. Now, that's a big if. They've gone to Idaho Falls and beaten St. Mary's twice. Tomorrow is going to be a really tough game. This is probably the best St. Mary's team of the bunch, and it's going to be the smallest crowd of the 3 games in Idaho Falls. Ticket sales are not going well. It's a Sunday in Idaho Falls, and not, I think that they knew this was going to be tough, and the ticket sales are not going well. A lot of folks, just religious beliefs, don't go to sporting events on Sundays, And obviously not here to speak negatively on that or fault that, but it is disappointing that they're, going to have such a small crowd for this game and that there's not enough other common fans or casual fans that would want to find a way to get to this game tomorrow. But so that is going to be a little tough, that it's not a very good crowd at all. It's a pretty empty arena from the ticket sales that I've seen online. We'll see if there's a walk-up crowd or not, but not going to be a straight home court advantage, so to speak, even though the game is in Idaho Falls. And I keep getting asked, why is this game in Idaho Falls? Well, it helps both teams from a net ranking perspective because it's a neutral site game. So you only need your opponent to be in the top 50, not the top 30 for it to count as quad one. And then both teams are getting paid by the arena for playing in this game. So there's money involved for travel and money involved for, I don't know if it's NIL or just the general budget, but I know the teams are getting paid to play in this game. So that's the two main reasons why you're doing it. And I guess even a half empty arena in Idaho Falls is still a better chance to win than having to play at St. Mary's, or for St. Mary's having to play at Boise. So I still think it makes some sense. We'll see what the crowd looks like tomorrow, but big opportunity, going to be a very tough game. And it would be kind of fitting, I guess, for the way this weekend's gone, for the way it's gone of late if they were to lose. But if they find a way to win and can win this game, I think a lot of you folks will buy back into basketball. And a lot of folks are going to, really believe in this team going into conference play. And it would really, I think, make the non-conference a net positive. If you have a win at Butler, who, by the way, won in double overtime today over Providence, that was a big-time win. NC State lost in overtime by 1 to Kansas today, and so your non-conference schedule continues to look really strong, and so I think that they've played the hardest non-conference schedule in program history, and if they can find a way to win tomorrow, it's going to be what I would say is a successful non-conference season, which is crazy to say considering you lost to Hawaii Pacific, but you'd be 8-3 with 2 quad 1 wins, and in the committee's eyes, no quad 3 or 4 losses outside of the non-Division I, which doesn't show up on the main sheet. But no Mountain West Network, no TV. It'll be on a in-house feed that they're going to try to put on broncosports.com. So start your day off with us at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, we'll be live. We'll show you the arena. We'll show you warm-ups, and we'll have the Lithia Ford Boise pregame show starting at 3 o'clock Mountain Time from Idaho Falls tomorrow. My final thoughts on the football game. It was rough. It was bad. It was not a good look. Quarterback play was not good. If they decide to not add to the quarterback room next year, they're really setting themselves up for a lot of criticism moving forward. And we'll see if that changes, but they were pretty adamant right now that Maddox Madsen, Max Cutforth, the freshman, they got enough to win. And we'll see if that's the case. We'll see how much money they have to address some other key positions on the team. And like I said, a lot of questions. It's going to be very interesting next month when the portal opens. Who stays? Who goes? Who do they add? A lot of big-time roster adjustments are needed, I think, and to get this team back. And obviously the schedule doesn't start very easily with Oregon on the road and then Memphis at home in the first 2 games next season. So as you know, we'll have it all covered at BroncoNationNews.com. Please send us a photo. If you tried a Sun Cruiser, I highly recommend them. If you've never had them, go try one for this holiday season. Pick up a variety pack. They have the iced tea lemonades. And even if you're not a huge tea fan, which I'm not, I love the tea lemonade vodkas. They're great. And then they have the straight vodka lemonade. Strawberry lemonade's my favorite. Pink lemonade, regular lemonade. Take a picture of yourself, post it on social media, tag us having a Sun Cruiser in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to give some great prizes away in a raffle for folks on January 1st. We appreciate Sun Cruiser for their support of Bronco Nation News and being our studio sponsor here. Hey, very appreciative of Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. He's renewed for another year. BauscherRealEstate.com. Check him out online. Matt Bauscher, BauscherRealEstate.com. We'll give our Bauscher Real Estate player of the game here in a second. There's a lot of different options. You can choose it, and I'll go ahead and just do it right now. I think you could give it to a couple different folks. I mean, Chris Marshall had 5 catches for 97 yards. Matt Lauder had 5 for 37 and scored a touchdown in his last game. Defensively, Marco Notriani, 8 tackles, tackle for loss. I mean, I think I probably got to give it to Marco Notriani, to be honest. I thought he's been a guy we've been criticizing a little bit, has struggled at times, but Marco Notriani in his final game, 8 tackles, a tackle for loss, had a huge tackle on that 3rd down screenplay. We'll give Marco Notriani, the senior, the Matt Bauscher Real Estate player of the game. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. 13 locations across the state of Idaho, surrounding states. You can check them out at shopridleys.com. Download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Transportation compliance service. Get into the trucking industry, and they can help you every step of the way with the paperwork and things you need. Local company in the Treasure Valley, helping out folks all over the world. Online at transcomservice.com. Snake River Pool and Spa. If you're looking for a spa, you're looking for a hot tub, maybe a pool table, a dartboard, a sauna, they got you covered. 4 locations: Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. Part of that Boise State home team. Check them out online at thespateam.com. And don't forget about our friends at Signature Roofing as well. Speakpipe.com/BNN. They're the sponsor if you want to leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on an upcoming broadcast. And that is brought to you by Signature Roofing. Online, mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, or an inspection, they got you covered online at Signature Roofing at mysignatureroofing.com. And one more reminder, 50% off an annual membership. These trips are not cheap, folks. To turn around and get to Idaho Falls tomorrow, to fly to Salt Lake, to rent a car and drive tomorrow, it's not cheap. Staying in LA for the bowl game, not cheap. To pay Nathan Carroll and Alexander Teubner and Michael Callahan and all of our guests, I think 13 people on the payroll this month. They don't do this stuff for free. They all get paid, and it's all because of our sponsors and you guys supporting our sponsors, and also your subscriptions to BNN. So right now we have our 50% off deal going on. If you can help us out, we'd really appreciate it. It's a one-time fee of $60, and then you don't have to worry about it. 50% off our annual rate, and that comes down to $5 a month at BroncoNationNews.com. And Nathan Carroll's at home right now putting his article together on his takeaways from the game. Mike Prater already has a post-game column up on the website. I'll have some post-game coverage as well. So a lot of post-game coverage coming to Bronco Nation News and BroncoNationNews.com. And you got to be a paid subscriber for all that. So help us out if you can. I know these shows are free of charge for you guys to watch on YouTube. And we couldn't do it without our sponsors. We're happy that these shows can remain free, but we also need that support of our sponsors and that support of our paid subscribers on the website side to help us out as well. So not sugarcoating this one. It was ugly. It was bad. It was bad in a lot of areas, and a lot of questions have to be addressed about this team moving forward. We'll have all next week to do that, all off season to do that, and certainly the portal opening here pretty soon. We have a lot just to follow and track there, and our transfer portal tracker is up on the site right now. We'll keep you updated on all the transfers and folks coming and going from the football team here moving forward. So we went 2 hours and 20 minutes. The first half of that, Nathan Carroll, our folks back at Uncle Bob's Pizza and Meridian, Alex Teubner and Michael Callahan, we appreciate them. Kanan Rogers behind the scenes, our intern helping out. He did a great job, and appreciate all of them for their support. We had Brad Bedell, Kent Riddle coming out on the pregame show. We appreciate them for driving out to Uncle Bob's, and I know they were sold out, not an open house, not an open table at Uncle Bob's tonight. So it sounded like a great atmosphere, and sorry I missed it, but appreciate folks that made the effort to get out to Uncle Bob's. I'll find out what my tab was, but pretty sure that I had to buy a lot of Sun Cruisers from folks that came up and said they heard us talking about it. So appreciate you guys if you went out to Uncle Bob's. Hope you had a good time, and appreciate you all for that. So go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. We'd love to have you, and appreciate all the support tonight, guys. I know it's a tough end of the season, tough game. I know a lot of you guys are ticked off and in mourning, but hopefully we allowed you to vent a little bit on here, and you guys were able to chat with each other and kind of talk through the frustration. And as I said, we'll get through this together and try to address some of the issues next week, and figure out kind of what where this team goes from here. But not a lot of positives tonight. Tough end of the season, and the Broncos will try to figure things out in the next couple of days and get a break. And then obviously, I believe, by the way, Spencer Danielson is going to do a season wrap-up. They did say they're going to try to have him Tuesday or Wednesday for a season wrap-up show or season wrap-up press conference at some point Tuesday or Wednesday. So more Spencer maybe next week. But again, my flight is in like 7 hours, and I've still got a ton of work to do. So I'm going to end this thing here, 2 hours and 23 minutes. We're over 3,000 views. Still a good chunk of you watching live on YouTube as well. So thank you so much, guys. When I started BNN 4 years ago, I never thought it would grow to what it has become, and I still have massive goals. By the way, basketball fans, I got some news for you coming on Monday. Mountain West basketball fans, maybe a new show starting. We'll tell you about that, but we're expanding our coverage maybe just to more than Boise State basketball here for the rest of basketball season. So we'll tell you some more about that on Monday. But we're continuing to expand, continuing to add to our shows, and it's because of your support of Bronco Nation News. So I appreciate you guys for your support. My goal was to be at every game that we could physically possibly be at, and be the one outlet that was going to have pregame, postgame coverage from the arena. I think from the stadium. I think that's very important to have credibility with the coaches, credibility with the players, and most importantly, credibility with you fans that we're at these games and not just on our couch reporting and talking about them. We're here. We're talking to the players. We're talking to the coaches. We're in the press box. We're covering these games, and that's not cheap, but that's an expense that I think is, for football and basketball, worth it to provide the coverage that we hope to continue to give you guys. So thanks a lot. Been a fun season. Tough loss tonight, but it was a really fun 6-month journey with you guys, going back to media days in July and fall camp and going all the way through the season here and the up and down. So I appreciate all the support. Again, please subscribe if you can. So if it sounds like I'm begging you, I mean, I kind of am. It's $60, a one-time fee. We'd love to have you at BroncoNationNews.com, and it really does help our plans moving forward here to continue to expand and to grow with BNN. And I know some of you guys get mad at me. You say I'm a homer. I'm going to defend Maddox or defend Spencer or defend Leon. I really do try to toe that line. I try to take the neutral perspective, but also the side sometimes of the players or the coaches, and try to keep this thing positive. But I know it's tough at times here with when you have a result like this to not be super negative. And I think that's warranted tonight. 38-10 loss. It was a butt whooping in all facets. Tough one. Not a lot of positives. Not a lot of sugarcoating can be done on this one, and a lot of questions moving forward here. So been a fun season. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Plenty of portal coverage, plenty of recruiting coverage. Chris, Nathan, Prater, the whole crew does a tremendous job on the website side. And if you can subscribe, we'd love to have you at BroncoNationNews.com. But at least for the next 24 hours, we'll turn our attention to basketball. Well, I guess after I get back to my hotel and write a story or two for football and get everything online, and we'll be working till 2, 3 in the morning, and then flying out before 7 to get over to Salt Lake, driving up to St. Mary's. And like I said, big-time basketball game tomorrow. Bronco Nation News will be live at the game. Pre-game show starting at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock for the live pregame show from Idaho Falls as we get you set for Boise State basketball. So make plans tomorrow to join us. Hope you have a good rest of your evening, a good Sunday, and I appreciate you guys for the support, and we'll see you at 3 o'clock. Again, wake up and you can read all of our stories and post-game coverage at BroncoNationNews.com. We'll be working while you're sleeping to make the website as well as we can for you in the morning, and make that subscription worth it to you guys tomorrow. So thank you so much for the support. Even those of you that may not have liked the jacket here, it's okay. Appreciate it. And we'll see you from Salt Lake, and then we'll see you from the rental car, and we will see you at 3 o'clock on the Lithia Ford Boise pregame show, courtside, Idaho Falls. Big-time game for Boise State basketball against St. Mary's, and looking forward to hopefully having something positive to talk about tomorrow because, again, final score 38-10. Tough one here to end the football season at the LA Bowl at SoFi Stadium, but plenty to cover in the offseason, plenty of basketball coverage starting tomorrow, and we appreciate you guys. So we'll talk to you tomorrow from Idaho Falls. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you at Bronco Nation News live and, of course, online, BroncoNationNews.com. Good night, everybody.